He can go second with a win.
Swansea win at QPR to go second in the Championship. Sergi Canos hits a second-half hat-trick as Brentford beat Cardiff. Derby are denied at the death by a late Preston winner to stay in the bottom three. In Scotland, Rangers beat Hibs, Celtic win at Hamilton. Lincoln thrashed Burton to go top of League One. Carlisle missed the chance to go top of League Two after throwing away a 3-0 lead against Bolton. At Kempton, Bryony Frost becomes the first female jockey to win the King George.
Frodon at the last fence in the King George over safely. Now with waiting patiently under the short running, trying to gather him in. But what a moment this will be for Bryony Frost. She's won the King George aboard Frodon.
Coming up in the next hour, we will hear from Bryony Frost as well as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Brendan Rodgers, amongst others. But first, the classified football results with Charlotte Green.
The Premier League. Arsenal against Chelsea, late kick-off. Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 0. Fulham 0, Southampton 0. Leicester City 2, Manchester United 2. Manchester City against Newcastle United and Sheffield United against Everton, both late kick-offs. Sky Bet Championship. Barnsley 2, Huddersfield Town 1. Blackburn Rovers 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Bristol City 2, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Cardiff City 2, Brentford 3. Coventry City 0, Stoke City 0. Derby County 0, Preston North End 1. Nottingham Forest 0, Birmingham City 0. Queen's Park Rangers 0, Swansea City 2. Reading 2, Luton Town 1. Watford against Norwich City, late kick-off. League 1. Blackpool against Rochdale, postponed. Charlton Athletic 2, Plymouth Argyle 2. Crewe Alexandra 1, Fleetwood Town 1. Doncaster Rovers against Accrington Stanley, postponed. Lincoln City 5, Burton Albion 1. Milton Keynes Dons 2, Bristol Rovers 0. Oxford United 2, AFC Wimbledon 0. Wigan Athletic 1, Shrewsbury Town 1. League 2. Cambridge United 2, Leyton Orient 1. Carlisle United 3, Bolton Wanderers 3. Cheltenham Town 1, Stevenage 1. Crawley Town 1, Newport County 1. Exeter City 1, Forest Green Rovers 1. Morecambe 3, Grimsby Town 1. Oldham Athletic 1, Harrogate Town 2. Port Vale 0, Barrow 2. Salford City 2, Walsall 0. Scunthorpe United 2, Mansfield Town 3. Southend United 2, Colchester United 0. Tranmere Rovers 0, Bradford City 1. Vanarama National League. Aldershot Town 3, Woking 0. Altrincham 1, Stockport County 1. Dover Athletic against Dagenham and Redbridge, late kick-off. Eastleigh 0, Weymouth 0. Hartlepool United 3, FC Halifax Town 1. Kings Lynn Town against Notts County, postponed. Maidenhead United 4, Wealdstone 0. Torquay United 6, Yeovil Town 1. The Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen 2, St Johnstone 1. Dundee United 1, Motherwell 1. Hamilton Academical 0, Celtic 3. Kilmarnock 1, Livingston 2. Rangers 1, Hibernian 0. Ross County 0, St Mirren 2. Scottish Championship. Alloa Athletic 2, Raith Rovers 5. Dunfermline Athletic 1, Arbroath 0. Heart of Midlothian 5, Ayr United 3. Greenock Morton against Inverness Caledonian Thistle, postponed. Queen of the South 1, Dundee 3. Scottish League 1. Clyde 2, Airdrieonians 4. Dumbarton against East Fife, postponed. Falkirk 0, Partick Thistle 0. Forfar Athletic 0, Cove Rangers 1. The Scottish Cup first round. Albion Rovers 0, Buckie Thistle 3. Berwick Rangers 0, Stirling Albion 3. Bonnyrigg Rose Athletic against Bowness United, postponed. Brecon City 2, Linlithgow Rose 3. Camelon Juniors against Brora Rangers was abandoned at half-time because of relentless rain, with the score 0-0. Cowdenbeath 2, Wick Academy 0. Edinburgh City 3, Caledonian Braves 1. Elgin City 4, Civil Service Strollers 0. Gala Fairydean Rovers 1, Annan Athletic 2. Haddington Athletic 1, For Martin United 2. Keith 2, Hill of Beath Hawthorn 2, extra time being played. Kelty Hearts 2, Jeanfield Swifts 1. Lothian Thistle Hutchison Vale 0, Banks D 3. Rothus 1, Fraserburgh 3. Stenhousemuir 4, Preston Athletic 1. Stranraer 5, the Spartans 0. And finally, Trinent Juniors 4, East Stirlingshire 1.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. In the rugby union today as well, Harlequins 19, Bristol 27, Exeter 28, Gloucester 20. Approaching half-time in the game between Northampton and Worcester, and the home side lead by 17 points to 7. Cardiff Blues won at Dragons 13-12. In the Pro 14, we'll have reaction to the rugby a little later on, as we will with the racing at Kempton and Bryony Frost winning the King George on Frodon. But let's start with the 2-2 draw between Leicester and Manchester United. United holding the lead twice with goals from Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. But each time they were swiftly followed by replies from Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he was disappointed that his side couldn't hold on to the leads.
Yeah, of course, when there's 10 minutes to go, when we scored a goal, and you think, get on the ball, see this game out. They'll have to push forward, create more chances, but then it wasn't to be. You know, we've come back so many times from losing positions to win, so we know the feeling the other way as well. So we created some big chances, of course, and you look back at those and you think they should have nailed the game for us. But then again, you can never switch off when you got strikers like Jamie Vardy up there.
You'd kept him quiet so long. Yeah. He's one chance and he scored.
That's it. That's a sign of a top striker. So that's the concentration bit when you play against quality players, and that's sometimes you just have to praise his movement, because his movement was brilliant and his finish was very good as well.
50th Premier goal for Marcus Rashford today. He missed an earlier chance. He was delighted to get a second opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Marcus is always lively. He's there and thereabouts about scoring goals with his pace. So good finish on his goal. Then he knows he had a couple that he could have stuck away as well. So that's football for you.
Bruno Fernandes set up that one and scored one as well. He's having a magnificent season, but then again, he finished last season in brilliant style too. He's such an important player for you.
Very good player, you know. When he comes here, he knows that he needs to step up. He has stepped up, and he's got good players around him. And fair play to Bruno. He's had a fantastic season, or a year with us, and we're really enjoying having him in our side.
Not much turnaround time with another game coming hot and quick on Tuesday night, Wolves.
No, then again, we've got an early kick-off today, which gives us a few more hours, and then that was the price we had to pay maybe to when we got the game against Everton. We thought today was going to be a difficult one. We knew it was going to be a difficult one. We've made changes, but it was close to a win, but just not enough.
Match of the day tonight, just before 11 o'clock on BBC One. Danny Murphy is part of it. Evening, Danny. Merry Christmas.
You too, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. He was asked the question about Rashford's 50th Premier League goal, but as he said, he should have had more, Rashford, and Rashford will know himself he should have had more.
I think so. The mentality he has is of a top player, isn't it, where he wants to do more. He won't have said... He'll be thinking about the two misses rather than the goal he scored, because there were two great chances, weren't there? And he could have had the match ball today. I think from a positive point of view, when you a player with his sharpness. He looks fit. He looks a threat. He caused Leicester lots of problems. He's getting in there. So the goals will come. But yeah, I think tonight it'll be, as the whole team will be, I think United will be more disappointed than Leicester with that draw.
Because they held the lead twice.
Yeah, also I thought second half they were more dominant. They didn't look in too much trouble. Obviously the substitution, the quality they've got off the bench, Cavani coming on helped. But they were in control of the game, I thought, and looked the more likely. So yeah, sometimes beforehand you'd probably say a point at Leicester in the scheme of things isn't a bad point, even though they've not been great at home. But when you look at the game as a whole, and especially the second half, I think they'll be more disappointed. And Chappers also, of course, the goal Vardy got, which he didn't get because they took it off him. Yeah. It was a bit lucky, wasn't it? Because he miskicked it, really.
Let's hear from Brendan Rodgers, because he thought Leicester were unlucky not to win. Here he is.
I thought we played very well in the game. We were unfortunate at the first goal. A slight deflection takes it into Marcus's path, and he finishes it really well. And we showed the mentality to come back, like you say, in the first half. I thought some of our play and some of the attacking play was very good. Some of our counter pressing, you're playing against a team that's so quick on the counter attack, but I thought we would counter press that really well. Second half, like you say, it was tight. It was a close game, which shows we're really competitive at the level that we want to be at. That's the real pleasing aspect of today. We've either won games or lost them, even though we've played well. Today was another sign for us of our improvement, where you can't win it and you're behind in the game. You keep fighting and you make sure you don't lose it. So showed a good mentality.
United obviously very aware of the threat of Jamie Vardy. They kept him so quiet, but you can't nullify him completely, can you?
No. I think that Jamie's that type of player. He's not going to be a player that's going to drop in and be in the build-up play and like Martial. He's a player that's on the last line. He's threatening the shoulder, and when the ball's out wide, he's in the box to score. So I thought he was outstanding today. Yeah, he maybe never a lot of contacts, but the space he creates for you with his movement and running. And like you say, when you need him in the box, he's in at the right place at the right time, gets his contact and gets another goal. So I'm delighted for the team, delighted for Jamie, like you say, and it was a good game of football, I thought.
I always think it's quite interesting the positives that managers take out of games, and I suppose for Rodgers, the fact that they haven't drawn a game this season, maybe they did have to dig in a little bit today to get that point.
I agree with him. Yeah, tenacity, spirit, togetherness, especially with their recent form at home, where it would have been easy to feel sorry for yourself as a group, as a collective, and think, oh, here we go again. And they didn't. The subs made a difference for him. He did well with those, and they did have a go to get back into it. I just think the quality was shown in the second half more from United in terms of their control and tempo. But if you look at it, for me, the benches and the quality, strength and depth United have and the quality they have, I'd be surprised if Leicester finished above United at the end of the season, to be honest with you.
Villa in 6th. Now, they went down to 10 men. They beat Palace 3-0. They're playing some stuff, aren't they?
They look confident, don't they? They got nice balance, togetherness. They look fit. Palace were awful, by the way. Let's not make no mistake about that.
Do you think that's a confidence thing after last week?
I think it's just momentum, Chappers, the way the season's going from, another good performance after another, just players starting to believe in themselves, competition for places, which is crucial at any club. And obviously, they've got a striker there who's running the channels and causing problems, gives them a focal point. And Grealish just keeps playing with that leadership and that quality that he's shown so many times this season. They look a really good side.
Good to talk to you, Danny. Enjoy tonight. See you soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Danny Murphy, part of Match of the Day tonight alongside Gary and Alan. At 10:55 it is on BBC One. Danny spoke about Villa's 3-0 win over Palace. Here is Dean Smith.
Dean, congratulations. What could have potentially been a cagey win in that second half turned out to be a very comprehensive victory for your side.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was tough on us, the red card, the 2 yellows. I thought the first one was pathetic when you're getting attacked and you're trying to stop somebody from attacking you and you get a yellow card. And I thought Tyrone got fouled just before, he's actually made the foul on Wilfried Zaha. So, real harsh red card, but, I thought, Emi made a really good save in the first minute. They've got him behind us from a deflected ball, I think it was, and then we've got up the other end and scored a good goal. Our counter-attacking threat was there for all to see. I think we looked frightening, and I said to the players at half-time, although we're down to 10 men, we've got to get that balance between attacking and defending. we felt that if we left Jack a little bit higher on the opposite side, then it causes problems for the opposition, and his link up with Ollie. And I actually said that I don't think there's a player in the Premier League I'd have chosen to go on his own up front for the second half of the game today, and Ollie Watkins I thought was magnificent.
Did you ever feel like you really were in trouble at any stage of that game, having got the lead?
When the opposition in this league have got an extra man, then you've got to stay vigilant, and I thought the players did. And as I said, I thought there's a growing maturity amongst the players in terms of that balance of defending and attacking. But when we attacked at pace and caused them problems. And on another day, Ollie scores 2 or 3, so he'll be disappointed that he hasn't scored today. But he's helped set up a magnificent victory today.
And you're up to 6th in the Premier League, and it's Chelsea and Manchester United next, so you really get to test your mettle.
Yeah, we will, and unfortunately we'll be without one of our players in Tyrone Mings, but we've got some good players coming back now, so it's going to be a tough run of games that we've got, but we're looking forward to it. I mean, we've got Liverpool in the FA Cup just after that as well, so it's games that we're looking forward to. We've given ourselves a platform, with this win today, and we can go to Chelsea and have a good go at them.
Dean Smith talking to Chris Wise. John Akers watched this for us, listening to all sorts of bits in that Dean Smith interview. He was very impressed with his team this afternoon.
Well, I think the biggest compliment you can play Villa, and maybe what is damning for Crystal Palace, is that Villa had 10 men for half the match, and you couldn't really tell. From the moment Wilfred Zaha missed that one-on-one that he referred to after 40 seconds, they were the better team. They went ahead through Traore, second goal in as many games. I was really impressed with him. He then hit the post before what should have been the turning point for Palace right on half-time. The red card that he just referred to there, Dean Smith. Mings and Zaha booked for an altercation when hands were raised. I think that was definitely a yellow for both players. And then 5 minutes later, Mings' hands raised on the back of Zaha on halfway, hit the deck very easily, and Mings was off. Konsa then replaced Traore, unfortunate to go off, and Villa rarely looked troubled in the second half. Howes scored a header.
Whether it's getting back into work, thinking about a different job, or helping you improve your CV, we can help you make a new start. Visit gov.uk/jobhelp, a good place to start.
At 5-2. Some odds boosts on the betting on the sportsbook. Tammy Abraham and Lacazette to have 2 or more shots on target each was 9-1. That's been odds boost out to 11-1. In the first goal scorer market, Timo Werner has been odds boost out to net first from 4-1 out to 5-1.
Okay, interesting, because each week, obviously, we place a bet on the Betfair Exchange. All the winnings go to the Bobby Moore Fund, raising funds for life-saving bowel cancer research. This week, we've gone for a same-game multi-bet of both teams to score, Werner to score any time, and Kante to be booked. What are the odds?
Kante to be booked, yeah, for 50 quid. It's a little over 17-1. There's paying £887 for the Bobby Moore Fund, if that comes true. The tricky part, according to the market, could be getting Arsenal to score.
Yes, well, potentially, yeah. Tell Mikel Arteta that. He'll argue with you, I'm sure. Thank you, Barry. With Betfair, place a £10 same-game multi-bet on the Premier League this weekend and get a £10 free bet. Terms and conditions apply. Free bet is valid for 72 hours, awarded at bet settlement, and that's all thanks to Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. Try Betfair today. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Our commentary team at the Emirates tonight for Arsenal against Chelsea, our former Republic of Ireland striker David Connolly and our match commentator Nigel Adderley. Now, we didn't really delve too deeply into Chelsea, did we, David? So let's have a look at what Frank Lampard has to play with here. As we said earlier on, big boost having his 2 fullbacks there, but also he's opted to stick with Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, which was an interesting one. However, when I thought that he might, say, drop a goal-scoring striker previously, he hasn't. He's stuck with him, and he's done that here. Look, I really think Giroud would cause Arsenal so many problems in the air, but like Calvert-Lewin did, and they can't handle crosses. But he stuck with Tammy, and he's done that previously. I think when Giroud scored previously, he scored 4, whatever, he started Giroud the next game, and that's how Frank likes to do it. Maybe goal-scoring player himself. Obviously he wants to keep that confidence high. But yeah, Tammy's got the nod, and obviously that's a front three. Obviously Timo Werner could do with a goal. We saw him against Leeds where he missed from basically a yard out. He hit the bar.
Shocking.
Yeah, but the way he's banged them in the warm-up, obviously you think he'd take one soon. So him and Pulisic either side of Tammy is a really good front three, obviously.
Yeah, Pulisic scored, didn't he, in the FA Cup final as well.
And pulled his hamstring.
Yeah, and pulled his hamstring. Well, that could be any match, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Frank Lampard, though, has really urged his players not to be complacent with Arsenal's league position at the moment, and that's going to be quite important for him, isn't he? Particularly when they see this team sheet.
Yeah, and obviously it's a London derby. It's a massive game for them. I think Chelsea, I've got to be honest, the fixtures have been really, really kind to him. Now, he did have a bit of a moan up after the 2 away games, Everton and Wolves, which you think, hang on a minute, Frank, you're basically travelling across London, then you've got 2 home games all over Christmas and New Year, so I don't think that's too much to complain about. And if you're a player, that is a huge bonus for you. Arsenal got to go away, 2 away trips, if confidence is low and you're in hotels, etc., that can really great. So I think everything's kind of fallen Frank's way. I really do in these next 3 games. I know they've got Man City, but still, it's all teed up for him here. I don't think the fixtures could be any kinder. And you ask any player, Formula One myself, around this sort of time, when you can be home, you're around. I think he's binned hotels for home games, which I think they used to do just to take some of that mental fatigue away. So I think it's given him a really good boost, over these next 3 games.
He's a perfectionist, though, isn't he, Frank?
Yeah.
So he won't have been happy. But they can go second with a win against Arsenal, which would take them 3 points behind Liverpool. So in terms of the title race, do you think Chelsea are well in this?
I think they're in it, and I know he plays it down. And obviously they have got a young squad. It's one of the youngest in terms of minutes played, etc. He might be a little bit wary in terms of say the pace that Martinelli possesses, and Saka maybe, and Tierney bombing on, Bellerin bombing on. You look how they did against Wolves, where Wolves had a bit of pace to hurt them, and they did. So that might be a little bit of sort of cause for concern. But otherwise, look, they've got a fantastic squad. They really have, obviously. And he's able to change things up, in the middle of the park. He's got the 3 in there, but obviously Havertz could play, Jorginho could play, you can keep going. So the options are sort of limitless for him. So, yeah, he's got a very, very good squad.
Yeah, such a strong squad, haven't they, Chelsea? Arsenal, on the other hand, when you look at it on paper, really strong squad, but the players just aren't doing it for him. And interesting comments from Mikel Arteta this week as well, regarding them being under threat of relegation, which a lot of people talked about quite tongue-in-cheek, I would say, probably up till about the last week or so, maybe up until that Burnley defeat, I would say. And then it started becoming a little bit more of a reality. And I know us Arsenal fans don't want to think about it. And realistically, when you think about it, Arsenal surely cannot go down looking at the players in that squad. But they are 15th with 14 points. If they were to lose this game and some of the other teams were to start picking up more points, they could be in a real problem.
Yeah.
And Mikel Arteta said himself, these next 3 games will determine whether or not they're in a relegation battle or not. Terrifying.
Well, it is, but obviously if you look at how they're performing and you see that maybe they're playing risk-free sort of football, they're passing sideways and backwards, they don't want to take the risks, they don't want to make that final pass or unlock a door. That's why their goals are so low and their shots are so low and everything, the chances, etc. They're really struggling. That's a side that a little bit low in confidence. I have heard that Mikel is still positive behind the scenes and saying all the right things, but he'll hope that his changes have an impact, because what if your changes don't have an impact? Where do you go from there? That is the big challenge, and I've seen that as a player before under certain managers. Right, he's made the changes. Obviously, there's some big characters, big personalities, big players out the side. Others come in. What if they don't do it? Where does that then leave you? And that's this sort of sticky position he's in.
Can I just say, I've watched Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Arsenal's captain, walk out of the tunnel. He's a substitute today. Now, I've seen so many other players, they galvanise the team. They in the tunnel, they're loud, they're patting everybody on the back, geeing everybody up. He's actually just sauntered past them all.
Well,
it's just surreal.
You can look, and obviously too deeply into these things, Faye. But
of course we do. Listen, we're the media.
Yeah, exactly. But this morning with Max and Charlie, I was saying, looking back, he appointed 4 sort of captains at the start of the season. 4. So he wanted this sort of leadership group, and of them you think, well, hang on, just have one that's a really good captain. So, when, say, for example, El Neni doesn't track someone, they shout at him and make sure he does his job. Or when, you're thinking about marking, you might scrap and go to the manager and go, forget zonal. Can't we have someone picking up Mina who's size for size rather than, someone who's a foot smaller, and then you concede a goal? Or, you want people to rip each other's heads off, or, getting a holding to win a header against Calvert-Lewin. You want someone to be grabbing them by the scruff of the neck. Do you need 4 captains? Or is one enough? As you say, in the dressing room, galvanising them rather than out sitting, waiting for the players to come out.
Well, listen, one player who does seem to galvanise them, according to Mikel Arteta, is Gabby Martinelli, who is back for them and made a real difference against Manchester City in terms of energy. But let's cross over, because the players are walking out at the moment at the Emirates, and our commentary team for Arsenal against Chelsea is David Connolly and Nigel Adderley.
Thank you, Faye. Good afternoon once again, and happy Christmas to you. A year ago today, Mikel Arteta took charge of his first Arsenal game, a scrambled 1-1 draw at Bournemouth. 12 months is often a good time to appraise how someone is doing, but that's something the Gunners would probably prefer to shove back into a file and lose in the dusty recesses of a basement, because it's not going well. 7 matches without a win, their worst start since 1974, with on-field ill-discipline a regular issue. If they don't win today, it's their poorest run since the early years of George Graham. But Arsenal stuck with him and eventually enjoyed a golden era. Such patience is in short supply these days, particularly at Chelsea during the Abramovich era. But Frank Lampard looks to have been given the space to develop a team, and although they've only had fewer points at this stage once since the Russian bought the club, it doesn't really seem to be an issue. But there are issues for Arsenal in terms of their team selection before this game. Gabriel is self-isolating after a close contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19, and both David Luiz and Willian are feeling unwell despite negative tests, so they are not risked for this game, understandably. 6 changes in total from the side which lost 2-1 against Everton. Bellerin, Mari, Lacazette, Xhaka, Martinelli and Smith Rowe come in, and there are first Premier League starts this season for both Mari and Smith Rowe. It is Leno in goal, holding Mari and Tierney a back 3, although it could become a back 4 with Bellerin dropping into a more deeper role. He's on the right, with Xhaka, El Neni and Saka making up the rest of the midfield, with Martinelli and Smith Rowe supporting Lacazette. For Chelsea, more straightforward. 2 changes. Reece James and Mateo Kovacic come in for Cesar Azpilicueta and Jorginho. It is Mendy in goal, James, Zuma, Thiago and Chilwell, Conte, Kovacic and Mount in midfield, Pulisic, Abraham and Werner in attack. So there is still only a place for Olivier Giroud on the bench against his former club. Our referee is Michael Oliver. David Connolly is alongside me. And David, so many stories coming into this game, and there will be so many stories out of this game, whatever happens.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's why it's a massive one. And he's made a lot of changes, hoping for an impact, that those players coming in, that they do have one. It looks like a back 4 for Arsenal, which I think is a good thing to try and match up Chelsea, because it's going to be a very, very tough game for them to get something out of this.
And it's Chelsea who will get the game underway on our bumper Boxing Day game day on TalkSport. Already we have brought you a real thriller, with Leicester and Manchester United sharing the points, 2-2 at the King Power Stadium. A great win for Villa with 10 men against Crystal Palace by 3-0 today, and Fulham and Southampton drawing 0-0. A late goal for Theo Walcott ruled out at Craven Cottage. And here we have a London derby on Boxing Day, as both sets of players and officials take the knee right across the Emirates Stadium. And it's Chelsea who get the game underway wearing all blue, defending the goal away to our right in the first half. A long ball forward from Thiago Silva. Then it's headed on by Mount. And Arsenal's youngsters look to gather. And there is a free kick given for a challenge on Martinelli, and an opportunity for Arsenal to try and move forward quickly. And the free kick is swept across the field towards this near side. Bellerin plays it forward. And now Saka's given time to turn. Bellerin charging forward on the overlap. It's a good cross into the penalty area and a volley at the far post from Martinelli, bobbles wide. And great start from Arsenal, Dave.
Yeah, brilliant. Lovely little switch of play. I think it was Xhaka from the free kick, diagonal out to Bellerin, into Saka. Then he went on the overlap. Nice little ball in the box. Not the cleanest of headers here. I think it's from Silva. Took it into the sort of path of Martinelli, but not a clean contact on the volley with his instep, and sort of seemed to come off his shin, really. But yeah, really good start.
So it's a goal kick, which Edouard Mendy will take. 6 goals, or 6 clean sheets rather, in his 10 games for Chelsea so far. He's been a solid addition to their back four as the high ball is played forward and then flicked on by Chilwell up towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Now Saka on this near side, but he's only gifted it to the blonde-haired Werner, but it's quickly cut out by Bellerin. And then he has time to turn and loft the ball wide to the far side. And Kieran Tierney. And Tierney now will try and break for Arsenal, but instead, again, it's infield towards Pablo Mari. Big night for him. His first Premier League start of the season. Although a number of these players, the youngsters for Arsenal, have been heavily involved in what was a very successful group stage in the Europa League. But David, with respect, you can play Dundalk and then you're playing Chelsea.
Yeah, let's just see this attack here. Might have been a little handball there from Tierney, but it's a really good start. I mean, they're so confident on the ball here, which is, I guess, probably not a lot of people expected, but moving the ball really quickly, shifting it, going from side to side, a big switch of play, and they got another corner.
And it's a corner on the far side, which Bukayo Saka will take. And every single Chelsea player is back defending as Frank Lampard claps his hands on the edge of the technical area to our right. And Mikel Arteta standing there, very casually dressed with the trainers on this Boxing Day to the left. And it's Saka who will take the corner. And Arsenal have made the better start in the opening couple of minutes here. It's an outswinger from Saka, high into the penalty area, rising to clear is Zuma. And then Conte does well to nod the ball further away. Bellerin's attempt to head the ball back towards the Chelsea penalty area skews off the side of his head across the field towards Tierney. And eventually it's all the way back towards Bernd Leno, defending the Arsenal goal away to our left-hand side. 3 minutes play, goalless here at the Emirates as Arsenal move forward again with some purpose. A low ball cut back into the penalty area is blocked on the edge of the 6-yard line by Zuma, and it was Martinelli's delivery once again, and his pace down the left already creating an issue for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I guess he's hoping with Martinelli have a similar impact to Neto for Wolves, like he did against Chelsea. You know, really quick, a ball carrier, he can take him up the pitch, and again, really just a really good promising move from Arsenal. And again, it comes from a goal kick. Mendy, what they did here, which they didn't do against Everton, for example, they put El Neni in front of Tammy from goal kick, so that, you know, if it does drop short, there's El Neni to win the header, and actually Holding didn't have to defend there. So they've obviously learned from the Everton game, which is good.
And it's a free kick for Chelsea on this near side, and Thiago Silva will take it. Goalless here at the moment. This fixture's not been played on Boxing Day since 2001, when Arsenal came from behind to win by 2-1 after Frank Lampard had scored the opening goal for Chelsea, and he scored on so many occasions against Arsenal down the years. As Smith Rowe chases again on the far side, that it's Zuma who comes across to make the challenge, and it will be a throw-in to Arsenal once again. And Mikel Arteta is getting the response that he required. There's been a good deal of tough talking and a good deal of stats from the Arsenal manager in recent weeks, but they've got to do it out on the field.
Well, already they've had the ball 3 times in and around the Chelsea box.
Now a low ball into the penalty area. It's blocked again at the near post, and it's gone behind for another Arsenal corner here, and they have made the better start with 4 minutes played on Game Day on TalkSport. 0-0 here at the Emirates Stadium.
Well, they just need to get this delivery. The last one, obviously, Zuma, he's such a threat in both boxes, but he got the first contact. He's in the sort of zone, just in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Get it away from him.
The corner is played short towards the edge of the penalty area, and now Tierney again, back towards Saka, the cross in towards the 6-yard area. Lacazette with a glancing header at the near post, but the pace was just taken off it by a challenge, and it loops gently into the arms of Mendy.
Yeah, that was bright though. I mean, they elected not to put it in, obviously just try and move those zones, get a different angle on the ball. Lacazette without a clean contact, but already you can see there's more energy, more tempo about this Arsenal side, chasing the ball, hunting it down.
Chelsea won a free kick on the far side for a challenge on Kurt Zouma. Arsenal coming into this game with only 2 points from their previous 7 games, also thumped 4-1 here by Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. Live on Talk Sport in the midweek as Chilwell plays a long ball forward for Chelsea on this near side. First real involvement for Tammy Abraham in an attacking sense as he looks to hold off Rob Holding, and he's done well to loft a ball wide to the far side, and there is space and time for Reece James to ping it across. It's very deep and Werner unable to keep the ball in play, and it bobbles behind for an Arsenal goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, which flank is quickest here? You look down this left-hand side for Chelsea, obviously you got Werner up against Bellerin. I mean, what a race, what a foot race that is. And then on the other side, Martinelli against Reece James. That time Chelsea switched the play, quite slow to get out to him, Martinelli, and we have seen Reece James, what a terrific crosser of the ball he is, but that one wasn't one of his best.
Arsenal last enjoyed a victory in the Premier League at Manchester United on November the 1st. And they've lost here to Leicester, Aston Villa, Wolves and Burnley. And the alarm bells were really sounding, as Faye said before kick-off, with that defeat here against Sean Dyche's team. And they've got games coming up away to both Brighton and West Bromwich Albion, either side of the new year. And they are the sort of games they need to win in the short term just to re-establish themselves above the group of teams right at the bottom of the Premier League, as Smith Rowe looks to twist and turn on the halfway line. Did well to initially rob N'Golo Conte, and then Conte, with something approximating a rugby tackle, pulled him down.
Yeah,
and it's a free kick.
Yeah, he's done really well, Smith Rowe, already. I mean, he's just operating in that sort of inside space on the left-hand side, but when the ball's on the right, he often comes over. If they don't have it, he tries to nick it off the back of the likes of Conte. Good start from the youngster.
7 minutes played, 0-0 here at the Emirates Stadium on game day on Talk Sport. And don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, we have a choice of listening here on Talk Sport. Manchester City against Newcastle with Joe Shannon and Jermaine Beckford. And over on Talk Sport 2, Sheffield United against Everton with Mark Wilson and Neil Redfern. And the best way to follow those games is to download the Talk Sport app, and you can swipe between the two stations and the two commentaries. And elsewhere in the holiday period, also enjoy a number of very special programmes and podcasts developed by our Talk Sport team.
Well, just looking at how Arsenal shape up, you know, when they do have a spell in possession, Nigel, the fullbacks go high. That just allows the wingers to come inside and almost play a very narrow front two. Martinelli up alongside Lacazette.
Now Chelsea look to break into the penalty area. Back heel from Werner almost releases Abraham, but Arsenal had sufficient bodies around the ball to clear. Now Chilwell, very narrow down the left-hand side, finding Zouma. And here is James again. There was a fear for Chelsea they would be without both of their first choice left backs coming into this game, but both are here out on the field at the start. Now Chilwell has support from Mount on this near side, turning away from Bellerin, and he quickly comes in field but only finds El Neni, and Saka will play it back towards Holding on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area, and Holding was quickly closed down by Mount and had no real other option other than to just knock the ball out of play for a throw into Chelsea.
Yeah, and I think he was berated by Xhaka, and then those two had a couple of words between each other, which is actually good to see. That's what you want, you know, players that obviously Xhaka demanded a bit more of Holding, and Holding saying, well, there was nothing else for me on. So that's what the players want to see. Certainly fans want to see as well, a bit of fight.
No fans, of course, inside the stadium here this evening. Arsenal had a couple of games with 2,000 supporters inside the ground, and it made such a difference, Mikel Arteta was saying. But of course the changes in COVID-19 protocol mean this match is once again being played behind closed doors, and a very different sound to the usual Arsenal-Chelsea game, as Arsenal have to do some defending here. Pulisic on the far side, now Conte, and here is Thiago Silva, who was very much the anchor man of the Chelsea defence now. I saw him make his debut at West Brom earlier in the season when he had an absolute nightmare, and you thought, what have they signed? But very quickly we've seen exactly what they've signed.
Yeah, I saw him against Leeds. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Kept things so simple, but popped the ball into midfield really quickly so they could go on the attack, read things, broke things up, So intelligent. Here he is. Look, one-touch pass. He just passes it on to give his teammates time. So intelligent.
Chelsea with only 3 defeats so far this season in the Premier League, but back-to-back away losses against Wolves and Everton, which have just raised 1 or 2 question marks about Frank Lampard's team. They had only one loss in 11 games at the start of the season, and they weren't entirely convincing during that 3-0 victory against West Ham. Of course, they'll take the points, and with sides above them dropping points today, they could be in a very good position with another win here. Kovacic wide towards James and infield towards Thiago Silva once again. And Chelsea played Arsenal over the Christmas period last season, and they were behind in that game for 70 minutes before 2 very late goals in the final 7 minutes won the points. Here is Pulisic charging forward now. He's challenged by Xhaka, wants the free kick, and eventually Michael Oliver has given it to Chelsea, and it's in the central area about 22 yards out.
Well, it just came off short. I mean, that was their first real spell in possession for Chelsea, and they just build the pressure. There's Pulisic driving to the edge of the box. A late challenge from Xhaka. I don't think he got a touch on the ball there. I think it was a free kick. It's about, 5 yards outside the box, certainly within shooting range. Well, like some Mason Mount and Chilwell on this as well.
Chelsea looking for the opening goal. In the 3 most recent meetings, the side who have scored first have not gone on to win the game, and that of course included the FA Cup final when Chelsea were scintillating in the opening 20 minutes or so. Pulisic scored the goal. Of course, he later pulled his hamstring, and Chelsea rather lost their way and also lost the cup. Mount is over the free kick. Chilwell could strike it with the left foot.
The thing is, Mount, I've seen him here before. He can go both sides here to keep the goalkeeper guessing. We saw that against Everton where he hit the post. Pickford guessed one way and he actually went the other.
And Thiago Silva is just marshalling the players in front of the wall, and it's curled in by Mount, right-footed and just wide.
Oh, so unlucky. He looks to the sky there. I mean, I don't know, we're scrambling. He's got such brilliant technique. Goes up and over the wall. Well, just came off the outside of the post, so close.
Brilliant free kick from Mason Mount, glancing the outside of the post. And Chelsea very close to the opening goal inside the opening 10 minutes here. You're listening to Arsenal versus Chelsea on Talk Sport with Now TV. And don't forget, you can watch this game live right now with a Now TV Sky Sports Pass for just $9.99. Search Now TV.
Well, you'd hope that Xhaka would have learned that you can't give fouls away. As much as you do want to go to ground, you just can't in and around the box when they've got players like Mason Mount. We saw that against Wolves, at Stamford Bridge, and so often his quality from dead ball, set-piece situations, and Chilwell. If you're going to ground, you've got to make sure you win the ball, that close to the box especially. That's the discipline, that he's in. That's why he's in there, Xhaka. Not to raise your hands or things like that, but it's a different sort of discipline. Staying on your feet, going with runners, not going to ground, not giving fouls away. That could cost your side a goal.
And the midfield, the central midfield for Arsenal today is Xhaka and El Neni, and I'm sure there are a number of Arsenal fans watching and listening who will have thought they'd never see the day those two have been paired together again. The rain now absolutely teeming down here at the Emirates Stadium. It was grey and fairly gloomy when we arrived at the ground around 2:30, and the weather has turned with Storm Bella on the way as well as Chilwell gathers for Chelsea. On this near side, 14 minutes played, 0-0 here at the Emirates Stadium on Boxing Day game day on Talk Sport. Chilwell's crossing to the penalty area. Holding's clearance is straight to Werner. Werner, though, unable to control initially, driven wide towards the corner flag. Bearing with the challenge, and in the end Arsenal get the throw-in, and that's a bit of a let-off.
Yeah, it is not the best clearance here from Holding. The simple crossing. I think he could have maybe just taken this down, controlled it in the box. He wasn't under any real pressure. Instead, he passed it straight to Werner. His first touch was a little bit heavy. We have seen that, haven't we, in games? That his touch has just got away from him, not quite as tight. His game isn't quite as tight as it was when he first came to the team, to the club.
And now Tierney charging over the halfway line for Arsenal. Had Martinelli in support, but he eventually checks back and comes back in field. And now Xhaka with an excellent ball wide towards Tierney again. Can he keep the ball in play? He can. He does well to dig out the cross, which is headed away by Thiago Silva. And now Kovacic will try and break, and that's an awful challenge on the far side. It was Kovacic, and he was caught, and the yellow card is very quickly out for Pablo Mari.
Well, they just got done here, a little bit like they did against Man City, committing too many players ahead of the ball. No one really offering that protection in front of the back four. Here's Kovacic, just gets past Xhaka. Obviously, Mari just cleans him out. He was never going to get there with his pace, but terrible challenge. But we've seen that before, Nigel, which is a concern for me. That play we saw against Tottenham, for example, with Lo Celso just drifting into that area behind the Arsenal midfield, and that's exactly what happened there. We've seen it there. We've seen it against Man City, and that's a couple of worrying signs for Arsenal that certain sort of scenarios haven't really changed.
Well, 3 red cards in their last 6 games in the Premier League. Pablo Mari only gets a yellow there, but he sent Kovacic cartwheeling into the air, and Frank Lampard very unhappy with the nature of the challenge. But Chelsea had the free kick, and it's worked back towards Edouard Mendy with 16 minutes played at the Emirates Stadium. A very wet, cold and eerie Emirates Stadium on TalkSport as Abraham wants the free kick after a nudge in the back from Pablo Mari, and he gets it, and Chelsea have a free kick 15 yards inside the Arsenal half, and the free kick is taken miles away from where the offence was committed by Mason Mount, so Chelsea will have to come back. And Tammy Abraham scored an 87th minute winner here last season in that game which Chelsea trailed in for so long. But he's a player who at times seems to be benefiting from the threat, if that's the right word, of having Giroud on the bench.
Yeah, and he's spoken, hasn't he, in terms of learning a lot from him, and it's great. A lot of those, certain sides, top teams have got a sort of master and an apprentice, and they seem to be working well.
Space now for Reece James, wide on the left-hand side. Now he plays the 1-2 with Pulisic across into the penalty area, headed away initially by Holding. Just had to stoop, and Arsenal grateful to pick up the second ball. And Smith Rowe is quickly closed down by Pulisic, but he's done well to ride the challenge and eventually win the throw-in. And Arsenal, considering the amount of disruption, that they're doing okay, but no more than that.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their midfield, they've basically, with the back four, they've matched up the Chelsea midfield, which I think is wise in terms of Conte, Mount and Kovacic. They've gone man for man in there, El Neni, Xhaka and Smith Rowe. And at the minute, they're just man for man, making sure that they're locked on. The concern for them is Werner. When he runs in off the line for Chelsea, obviously that narrows up Bellerin, so there's a lot of space for Chilwell. If Chelsea can get it right, get that big switch of play, could be in down this left-hand side.
So both Leicester and Manchester United dropping points in second and third with that 2-2 draw live on TalkSport earlier on today. Great win for Aston Villa. Tyrone Mings sent off in the first half when they were a goal up, and they eventually beat Crystal Palace by 3-0. No goals at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Southampton. In the Championship today, Norwich against Watford is a 7:45 kickoff. We'll have news of that during our 8 o'clock commentary from the Etihad Stadium later on this evening. Brentford, really good win for them, 3-2 at Cardiff, thanks to a hat-trick from Sergei Canos, who is not a regular goal scorer by any means. Swansea are second behind Norwich. They won by 2-0 at Queen's Park Rangers, and Reading, back in form, beat Luton 2-1. Now Werner with a run into the penalty area for Chelsea down the left-hand side. Good challenge, though, by Rob Holding. Slid in just at the right moment, and he concedes the corner.
Yeah, terrific block here from Holding. I think he knew that Werner was going to go down his left-hand side, but Werner lost possession, so did El Neni. Little ricochet of Conte, and then he's in behind, using that pace that he's got, an abundance of it. They let it go down the line. He couldn't really go infield. Bellerin had covered, but really good block from Holding.
Only Liverpool have scored more Premier League goals than Chelsea so far this season coming into this round of games. And they're looking for the opening goal here with a corner kick on this near side there left, which Mason Mount will take with 19 minutes played at the Emirates Stadium, 0-0. Mount's corner is very, very deep, high to the far post. Reece James challenging for it, but it's Smith Rowe who heads away. And Conte maybe thought about going all the way back towards Mendy, but he turns, right-footed ball sprayed wide to this near side, but Martinelli steps in before Mount to clear. And here is Werner wearing gloves on a chilly evening once again for Chelsea. Thiago Silva finding Conte, and And there is plenty of movement for Chelsea ahead of him. Short towards Kovacic. Chilwell have made a dart to the right-hand side. He now takes up his more customary position on the left. And here is Thiago Silva with a high ball, and it's a good ball as well to find James in behind Saka. Low in looking for Abraham at the near post. Pablo Mari steps in with another good challenge, and it's another corner to Chelsea.
Yeah, well, they're just a bit disorganised here at this moment in time, Chelsea, and certainly Arsenal in terms of how they're marking from the corner. They still haven't got it sorted, so that's why Saka ended out on the left-hand side, didn't quite intercept that long ball from Silva, and in the end, Pablo Mari just did enough on the cross. This is where they look such a threat, though. Set pieces, Chelsea scored so many goals. You know, Zuma, Silva, you know, you name it. They get this delivery right, an outswinger, and obviously Arsenal conceded so many from set pieces. Burnley, you name it, Everton.
And the corner is an outswinger high towards Court Zuma with a looping header, but it's high over the top, and it's a goal kick. Arsenal have 3 players warming up at the moment to our left-hand side, but Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is not one of them, and his body language stepping down the tunnel before the game, David, was a bit questionable maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Faye put spotted that, which was brilliant, and that is a case whether you stay in the dressing room and obviously help your team, or maybe look, Mikel doesn't want anyone in there. Look, the 2 11s warm up separately, the subs warm up separately. Maybe when it comes to getting out there on the pitch, the 11 just stay in the dressing room. We just don't know, do we, how things. But look, Zuma got the first contact there, which is a concern, because you'd hope that they'd learned in terms of their marking, Arsenal, but they didn't really stop Zuma there. Just a poor contact in the end.
Well, Nenny with a good ball forward towards Lacazette, and now on the edge of the penalty area, Martinelli, but he's challenged by Thiago Silva. 2 players at opposite ends of their playing career, but Chilwell now looks to win it from Bellerin and run the ball clear on this near side, but he's run the ball out of play, and it's a throw into Arsenal by the corner flag to our right, which Hector Bellerin will take short towards Bukayo Saka. Now Bellerin once again, but he shows far too much of that to Mason Mount, who shepherds the ball behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, just didn't really make the most of that. It was a simple throw, feet and back. You think, right, okay, he's into Saka, come back to Bellerin, then get it in the box. If there's no one going to come out and help you get it in the box, then surely, touch Bellerin and just put it in there.
Manchester City against Newcastle coming up on Talk Sport at 8 o'clock at the conclusion of game day. And the Sports Bar Weekender will take your calls on all of today's action from 10 o'clock following that game, with Sheffield United against Everton over on Talk Sport 2. Currently Arsenal 0, Chelsea 0 for the latest odds. Head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talk Sport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can back an Arsenal win at 5, the draw at 3.65, or back a Chelsea win at 1.88. All thanks to Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. More animation from Mikel Arteta so far in the technical areas, David. I know it's very difficult to read anything into how the managers act, but I'm sure there will be a bit of anxiety with so many young players in the team as Lacazette lofts a high cross into the penalty area. Chilwell rises above Saka to head the ball away, but Arsenal do well to recover possession. And here is Xhaka now, 25 yards out, left-footed shot from him, but it's blocked on the edge of the area. And now Chilwell will try and recover on this near side, and despite a bump from Saka, has done well to lock the ball down the line before Xhaka goes down right in front of Frank Lampard. Challenged by Tammy Abraham, and Arsenal have the free kick.
Yeah, he's bought the foul. And what they can't do, Arsenal, when they have a throw, for example, on the left, they can't be really expansive and switch it out to the right, because, Bellerin can't be so advanced because he's got Werner to worry about. So they're quite narrow. It means they're always boxed in. It's very difficult to switch the play, and that's because obviously the threats Chelsea possess. So a little bit tough going at the minute for Arsenal.
And with Martinelli on one side and Xhaka on the other, as Arsenal look to win a free kick, but it's Bellerin now who picks up the ball. The advantage is play, Bellerin's cross, and a lunging Smith Rowe unable to get the crucial touch. Now Martinelli fires the ball across the face of goal, and it's deflected behind for a corner, and Emile Smith Rowe had a wonderful opportunity.
Oh, he can't have been too far away from this. I mean, really good advantage from the assistant referee. Lacazette was fouled, but he allowed play to go on. Little cut back from Bellerin, just slightly ahead of Smith Rowe. Not too sure how he missed that. He was on his left peg, but slightly in front. Opportunity missed, but they've got a corner, another one.
Well, Emile Smith Rowe's last goal promoted Leeds United, scoring on loan for Huddersfield against West Brom last season. And if he scores here tonight, that will be a goal which, the way things feel at the moment, would carry a good deal of importance for Arsenal.
They've just got to bypass Zuma here.
The corner into the near post. It's a poor delivery from Saka onto the head of Chilwell. But Arsenal recover again. And it's Smith Rowe out on the left-hand side, but Conte will make the challenge, but scampering forward is Werner, who can't keep the ball in play, and it's a throw-in. And with Saka on the right and Martinelli on the left, it can be a bit narrow for Arsenal getting forward.
Yeah, it just looks like, well, you know, one thing when you get these corners, and you might not get too many of them, you've got to get that service right. And obviously Chilwell's in at that near post zone. They've got Zuma on a 6-yard zone. You've got to miss those two for a start, and they haven't done that.
Now a loose ball in field from Bellerin. Conte plays it forward for Chelsea. And now Zuma, alongside Thiago Silva, has formed a fairly durable partnership, particularly in home games for Chelsea. And now a loose ball from, of all people, N'Golo Conte. Simple pass wide towards Mason Mount on this near side, but behind him, out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Arsenal midway inside the Chelsea half. 26 minutes played here on TalkSport, 0-0 at the Emirates Stadium on a wet and windy evening. As Pulisic now comes forward for Chelsea, tries to slide the ball down the line left-hand side, looking for Abraham, but it's gathered once again by Pablo Mari. And here is El Neni, the Egyptian for Arsenal, wide towards the far side. A good ball as well. Smith Rowe has space and time. Infield towards Saka and back towards Smith Rowe again. A low cross into the penalty area. Again, it was a fight ball for Lacazette alongside Thiago Silva. And it's the Chelsea man who's able to nod the ball away. And here is Werner on the far side, challenged by Tierney and fouled by Tierney.
Yeah, but that was a really good move in terms of Smith Rowe and El Neni linking up. Nice little give and go then with Saka. Good ball into the box. But you think for Lacazette, you know, he probably wants it along the ground, slightly behind Silva, and that was an easy one for him to defend. He reads the play so well, Silva. I mean, he's so intelligent.
Arsenal's worst start to a season since 1974. Bertie Mee, who led them to the double, was still in charge. At this stage, they were bottom of the table. They'd just been beaten 2-0 by Tottenham in the North London derby, but a young Irishman called Liam Brady inspired a revival. They beat Liverpool by 3-1 at Anfield, and they eventually survived that season. 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Spurs finished below them. They also survived, and it was Chelsea who went down. Now Bellerin with a long ball forward again, looking for Saka. But it's Thiago Silva who plays it back towards Mendy. Clears downfield. The Arsenal back four all appeal for offside, but they were coming out in instalments. Tammy Abraham was almost on the halfway line anyway, and it's guided back by Pablo Mari towards Bernd Leno.
We just have to see if, you know, this switch from Werner and Pulisic is going to stay like this for the rest of the half. At the minute, Werner's moved over to the right and Pulisic to the left. We have seen Frank do that as well a few times in different games, just mixes wingers up. Different challenge.
Pulisic scored his goal in the cup final coming in from this side, and he was brilliant playing down the left.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the challenge he's got, because Pulisic, I think, his best position, a bit like Hudson-Odoi, is down the left-hand side, you know, a bit when Eden Hazard was here, and that's why he found it hard to get games, but so is Werner's down the left.
Now Abraham on the edge of the penalty area, nods it down, right-footed shot from him, spins away off the challenge of Pablo Mari, and it's a corner kick for Chelsea, but very, very easily Tammy Abraham found space and time on the edge of the area.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest of connections here from Tammy. Actually, Tierney doesn't really jump with Werner. He'll be disappointed with that. That's where it comes from. Little miscue on the shot. Probably Mari gets a block in. All starts because Tierney doesn't win the header. That's the dirty stuff that Arsenal got to do, and they've got to do more of it here from this set piece. An outswinger from this side. They are so dangerous from the right.
Mason Mount will take it. 29 minutes played. 0-0 here at the Emirates Stadium, and it's an outswinger from Mount, looking for Zuma, flicked away by Pablo Mari, regathered by Reece James, and he was trying to shake the ball, right-footed, trying to curl the ball towards the postage stamp, and it's way over the top.
Yeah, uncharacteristic there from Reece James. So they got the first contact, picked it up at the back post. Reece James just looking, trying to get it back in, second ball, but poor delivery in the box. And look, neither side is risking playing out here, are they? They've had a lot of goal kicks. Every time the two centre-halves are sort of dropped in both boxes, asking for the ball, both keepers have gone, no, we're not doing it.
And from Monday until Wednesday, TalkSport is the only place across the network to hear all of the Premier League games coming up in the midweek round, including Chelsea against Aston Villa, Brighton against Arsenal, Manchester United against Wolves, and Newcastle against Liverpool. And you can download the TalkSport app and swipe between the matches you want to hear as Mason Mount lets fly from the edge of the penalty area, right-footed, and it's gone wide for a goal kick.
Yeah, and where does that chance come from? A long ball up to Tammy. He wins the flick on, Holding doesn't, and then suddenly they're in around your box. And that's where I think Arsenal, you know, they need a centre-half that can go and be dominating. That's why I thought Giroud would start, because I thought, you know, Giroud would just win every flick on. As it is, probably Tammy's probably won, you know, 60-40 in terms of percentages already.
And the ball spins out of play off the head of Mason Mount for a throw-in. I heard Sam and Trevor speculating during the lunchtime game, David, about which of our pundits is not able to download an app. Presumably you're okay. You're technically okay, aren't you?
I'm just about okay. Just about okay. I can do an app.
Well, now's the time to learn. Download the TalkSport app, and I think there are about 4 games at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night. 2 of them will only be available on the TalkSport app, so it's well worth downloading it. Here is Smith Rowe, wide towards the far side, and Martinelli. Tierney on the overlap, a low cross into the penalty area, and it's deflected behind by Reece James. And it's a corner to Arsenal. There's a real ebb and flow to this game.
Yeah, there is. It comes from a throw. Look, they're all boxed in one side and they're able to get out the other. Smith Rowe just finds Martinelli on the left. He's got the overlapping Tierney. He'll do that all day long. But you know what? Disappointing cross. Not a clean connection. There was no one really going to get on the end of that. I think corner was the best thing for him. But you know, they need to get this service right here. Do something different. Don't just put it in.
Saka plays it short towards Smith Rowe, opening out the angle for Kieran Tierney. High cross from him down the left-hand side. Pablo Mari rising, but he's unable to direct a header towards goal. But Bellerin does well to recover it for Arsenal. Down this near side, infield towards Xhaka, drifted wide towards the left again, and Tierney, who turns away from James, who burst into the penalty area. Then he goes down, and the penalty is given to Arsenal. Kieran Tierney with a terrific run into the area. Reece James with a clumsy challenge, and no doubt about the penalty call.
Yeah, it was a clumsy challenge, you're right. Tierney's superb, but the pass out to him from Granit Xhaka was absolutely brilliant. Through the eye of a needle. I mean, he started the game really well, Granit Xhaka, and a lot of Arsenal fans will be probably surprised, or even they might even be disappointed he started the game. But I tell you what, he's played really, really well, and he's had a hand in that goal.
And his back leg was just clipped there by the right foot of Reece James as Tierney went past him. And Thiago Silva is just standing alongside Michael Oliver. They are just waiting to see. It's a VAR check for this penalty. Was there contact? I think it was the left heel of Tierney that was caught by the left foot of James.
So we go through the minutiae here, looking at this 100 times over on different angles, whatever. From one, it looks like it might have been a touch on the heel, but I'll be surprised if this is overturned.
Well, Tierney was inside beyond James. There was no real advantage for him to go down from that situation because he was 6 yards out.
Well,
I guess Oliver was very well placed.
Yeah, and also that replay that we've seen on telly is only from one angle. What about from the other angle, which we haven't seen, which will be the opposite side? So it's
penalty's been given.
Anyway,
Alexandre Lacazette has not scored for 8 Premier League games after 3 in his first 3 games at the start of the season. Big moment here for Arsenal. Lacazette, right-footed, makes no mistake. Mendy goes the wrong way, and Arsenal lead in the London derby. And after so many problems in recent weeks, it is a massive boost on Boxing Day. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0.
Yeah, really well taken. Sends the keeper the wrong way. He's very slow, isn't he, with his run-up, hoping for the goalkeeper Mendy to move. He did just about move to his right. He's moving all over his line. Showed real composure anyway to slot it to the opposite side. And they've had a really good start here, you've got to say, under an awful lot of pressure, a lot of talk. The man has faced a lot of flack, and they put on a good performance here. And you wouldn't necessarily say they've deserved or earned a goal, but they've just put in a really good performance, and they've got it.
Well, Michael Oliver was very well placed to see what we saw from that angle. James seemingly clipping the heel of Tierney, and the penalty was given. VAR concurred, and Arsenal, with 35 minutes played, lead here by a 1-0. But in the 3 previous London derbies, including the cup final. The side that scored first did not go on to win the game. What can Arsenal do here today?
Would have been such a threat down that left-hand side with Tierney. He's superb. Look, whether he plays as a left-side centre-back, he can join in. You know, whether he plays a midfielder sort of as a wing-back or even a natural full-back, he will get up and down all day long. He's got an engine. What an engine on him.
And now Martinelli again using his pace to take on Reece James down the left. Just checks back in field. The low cross into the penalty area. Chelsea don't clear the ball away conclusively. Belherin's shot is blocked by Chilwell. It squirts across the penalty area. Here is El Neni, and now El Neni has lost out, and Kovacic and Werner will bring the ball away for Chelsea. Werner now down the left, infield towards Abraham, but the ball just strikes him on the heel, but it bobbles back towards Werner again, down the Chelsea left-hand side. No real support by the corner flag, and eventually he stumbles, runs out of room, falls over the byline, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, he falls over. I mean, he's really frustrated, Werner, because he knows Tammy made no run whatsoever for him. By the time he did, it was too late. What he should have done is gone across his man and then checked out, because there was a huge swathe of space on that right-hand side. Instead, ran across his defender, which was the wrong run. He actually took up Werner's space there. Didn't make the most of that, Chelsea.
And you're listening to Arsenal versus Chelsea on Talk Sport with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Sell your car in under an hour, leaving you with more time to enjoy the football. As Arsenal come forward again with Smith Rowe inside the area, left-hand side. And Arsenal have worked it really well down the left. Smith Rowe and Tierney have linked up superbly with Martinelli at times, and although he has to come back in field onto his right foot now and again, Reece James has often found himself outnumbered.
Yeah, and do you know why that happens as well, Nigel? Is because they've got the balance of a left footer in there in Granit Xhaka. You know, he can play as that pivot, whether he's a single pivot or a double. He's a double in there today with El Neni, but obviously when you're a left footer, you're able to get it from this sort of inside right pocket, open out and make that switch of play really easily with your left peg. They've done it really well.
Arsenal lead by a goal to nil with 37 minutes played here at the Emirates Stadium. On TalkSport's Game Day, Zuma's just caught as he headed the ball forward by Martinelli, and it will be a free kick. And Arsenal could be heading for 3 successive away defeats in the Premier League. That's not happened since February of 2019. And among that trio of losses was a 2-0 defeat here against Arsenal.
Well, Nigel, how many times has El Neni got his head on a long ball from Mendy? Probably four times already. Another one from Mendy. He's just standing in front of Tammy Abraham, and we didn't see that against Everton from Arsenal. Every time it went up to Calvert-Lewin, he basically won a flick on. He had no protection. They had no protection in front of Calvert-Lewin, but El Neni's he's screening Tammy really well. What they have to do, Chelsea, is do this. Drag Mason Mount closer to Thiago Silva, which drags El Neni out, and just get them guessing. They're a bit too predictable at the moment, Chelsea.
And Chelsea could be another team in the leading group about to drop points here. Leicester and Manchester United drawing 2-2 in what was a cracking game to kick off our Boxing Day game day here on Talk Sport. Manchester United led twice, including very late in the game, but Jamie Vardy with a deflected equaliser in the 85th minute. Aston Villa and Crystal Palace met in the afternoon game, which threw up a number of talking points. Tyrone Mings sent off for Aston Villa in the first half, but they still won by 3-0, and it was goalless at Craven Cottage in the game between Fulham and Southampton. Declan McCarthy, our producer, tells me it's the first time Arsenal have taken the lead in the Premier League since November the 1st, when they won at Old Trafford by 1-0 with a penalty. High ball played forward by Chilwell on the near side, and it just drifted out of play in flight, and it will be a throw into Arsenal, who I think on the balance of play deserve the lead.
Yeah, I think Lacazette got one of their last ones in the first half, didn't they, against Liverpool, but this is where they can't be too expansive, and they basically lost the ball every time from a throw-in, Arsenal, because they're boxed in one side. They can't be open enough. I mean, Tierney on the left's got his arm up, but, you know, because of Pulisic and the pace Chelsea have out wide, it's so difficult to get out, but they've done it here. It's probably the first time.
Pablo Mari plays it wide to the far side, and Tierney again using his pace beyond Pulisic, now short towards the edge of the area, looking for Smith Rowe, but cut out by Conte. And here is Kovacic, and Chelsea have a free kick 15 yards outside their penalty area with 5 minutes to play in the first half here. on Game Day on Talk Sport. Arsenal leading by a 1-0. A penalty from Alexandre Lacazette. His first goal in the Premier League in 9 games. Zuma will take the free kick. And Chelsea need something to happen here because they struck the outside of a post with the set piece from Mason Mount, but apart from that, Bernd Leno's had nothing to do.
No, that's right. I mean, they put their bodies on the line, they've made blocks when they have to. And that's what Arteta would have wanted, you know, just a really dogged, disciplined performance. Sort of tactics, yes, is one thing, but just putting your body on the line and doing the dirty stuff, and they've done that.
Overhead kick from Pablo Mari sends the ball spinning into the midfield area, headed forward by Mason Mount. Now Werner on the edge of the penalty area, benefited from a deflection, but his right-footed shot was dragged some way wide.
Not really convincing here, is he, Timo Werner? A little ricochet, and they sort of get lucky here, Chelsea, but as he drifts inside, which he does like to do, and bend the ball into the far corner, it's nothing finish really. No chance of finding a target and just trickle past the post.
Well, Werner has had so much praise in the early weeks of the season, but 6 games without a goal in the Premier League, and 8 in total, his longest run since September of 2016 for a young player who found the net with such regularity in Germany with Leipzig. Smith Rowe looks to control again, and he's really done well. He's somebody who's been one of the Europa League youngsters over the past couple of years, but he's stepping up.
Yeah, and look, he continues his run onto Mendy to force Mendy with a hurry clearance, and you know, it's not a good clearance. Arsenal pick it up. I mean, Chelsea have got it back now, but still, you know, that comes from that sort of youthful exuberance that Arteta wants. You know, he doesn't want players just to protecting themselves. You know, he wants players to really put themselves on the line, put a shift in. Smith Rowe's done that.
If you've just joined us, no David Luiz or Willian in the Arsenal squad today. Arsenal have told us they are feeling unwell. They have tested negative for COVID-19, but in the circumstances they are staying away from the squad, and Gabriel is self-isolating after close contact with someone who's suffering with the virus, so he will be absent for Arsenal's next 3 games, including this one. Now Bellerin coming forward down the right-hand side for Arsenal. Now Saka with space onto the left foot. He's challenged by the other number 7, N'Golo Conte, and it's a free kick for Arsenal, dead centre, just outside the D.
Yeah, I mean, that was hands in mouth times at moments there when Arsenal were playing out, and then he let the ball run across his body. He didn't know where Mason Mount was, but he just about took it off his toe in time, and they worked it, got it out right to Bellerin into Saka. He was taken down about, you know, it's a similar sort of area to where Mount's free kick was, but obviously at the other end of the pitch. You've got Lacazette. He would have taken it quick.
It's taken quickly. Here is Saka now inside the area, but too quickly for Michael Oliver's liking, as Saka curls the ball into the net, but everybody had stopped. And Michael Oliver yet to get out the magic spray and mark out exactly where the Chelsea wall needs to be. Well, in that sort of situation, does it really matter if you take a quick one?
Well, the way Lacazette spotted this, I mean, he's got great deception. He's probably going to take this.
It'll be Xhaka with the left or Lacazette with the right. 2 minutes before half-time, and it's Xhaka who strikes it, and it's an outstanding free kick from Granit Xhaka, often maligned at Arsenal, but that was absolutely magnificent. And Arsenal in such a big game on this Boxing Day, so much pressure on Mikel Arteta. They lead Chelsea by 2-0, and Granit Xhaka has stepped up with an absolute Christmas cracker.
Yeah, absolute thunderbolt here. Ronaldo-esque how he addresses this ball and strikes it, laters it up and over the wall. Terrific technique, and we spoke about deception. I thought it might be the right footer of Lacazette. Instead, the wall jumps. He still gets it up and over in time, and he's had such a good game. We said that, didn't we, after the first goal? Had a hand in that. The switch of play out to Tierney. He's been superb in the middle of the park. He really has, and he's just scored a great goal. Fabulous free kick.
Well, no one saw this coming. 2-0 to Arsenal. Lacazette and Xhaka the goal scorers. And Frank Lampard has a real problem to solve here, because his team have not really got started. If the free kick for Mason Mount had gone, then it could be a different story, but as it is, they are 2 goals down, and there is a single minute of added time at the end of the first half, which has been Arsenal's without any question. Here is Mount coming forward now. Spreads it wide to the left, looking for Chilwell, but it's over his outstretched left boot, and it's out for a throw-in.
Well, you know what I love about that sort of technique, that it's reminiscent of Cristiano Ronaldo, is that when you get pace on it, it's the shortest.
Yeah, but it's Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, but it's the shortest. Yeah, but just on the technique, when you strike that ball the way he does, you know. Yes, I know it's Xhaka, but you know it's the shortest route to goal. There's no curl on the ball, so if that has got the trajectory which it did have, I mean, it's going to be past you before we've even known about it, and it's so hard to get it right. If you do, it's a goal, as we see so often from Ronaldo and they're from Xhaka.
Well, Mendy had absolutely no chance. He was set the wrong way for the penalty, and that whistle passed him before he barely moved. Now Martinelli down the left-hand side, clicked in towards Saka. It drops to Saka, jab back out towards Martinelli again. Bellerin in a central area. Here is El Neni, and that is half-time, and Frank Lampard takes off his jacket as he heads down the tunnel, because he has work to do in the dressing room, because Arsenal have stepped up here on this Boxing Day, coming into this game with 7 matches without a victory, but they have dominated the first half. Alexandre Lacazette scoring a penalty after Kieran Tierney was clipped inside the area by Reece James, and then just before the break, an outstanding free kick from Granit Xhaka. And after 7 games without a win, Arsenal at the moment on course to end that unwelcome sequence at half-time. Arsenal 2, Chelsea 0.
Thank you very much, Nigel Adderley. Now then, David Connolly, this was not what we were expecting, particularly, well, I'll tell you what, even before we saw the team sheet, we weren't expecting it. Then we saw the team sheet, definitely weren't expecting it. But Arsenal well deserve this lead, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Faye, when we spoke about the changes, it was because, you know, Mikel Arteta wanted an impact, right? You know, he wanted these players to come in and have an impact. And if they didn't, what would he do? Well, those players have, you know, shown him, you know, that they're there, they're playing for him. And they've put on a great shift. It was all about attitude here. You know, it wasn't necessarily do about tactics, but they've got them, you know, spot on as well. It was about endeavour, attitude, running, you know, tracking, blocking, marking, all that dirty stuff, you know, epitomised by Emile Smith-Rowe. Youngsters come in, done absolutely brilliant, ran around, put a real shift in, and they've been excellent.
Yeah, particularly down that left side with Smith-Rowe and Tierney linking in with Gabriel Martinelli, who, as I've said before, Mikel Arteta is full of praise for. He's said before he's infectious because he pushes everything. He closes down every single ball. He's full of energy. And you can tell that this Arsenal team are thriving off that a little bit.
Yeah, and they need that sort of player with that burst of pace, and he's a bit mercurial, and he'll make something happen. But him, obviously, dovetailing with Tierney is, you know, you've got to remember, Kieran Tierney, what a signing, can play left centre-back and bomb up and down if needed. He can play, you know, wing-back, he can play full-back, he can do a bit of everything. And look, Celtic fans know that. He used to cover that left wing for Celtic basically on his own. And you can see why. I mean, he is just, he's like a machine. He just bombs up and down. He's been absolutely superb. But I've got to be honest, I think one of the best players, if not the best player, and forget the free kick, has been Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he's been excellent.
Got a point to prove, hasn't he, really, after that sending off against Burnley, for sure. And nobody could ever question his endeavour when he plays for Arsenal, for sure, because he always puts in 100%. But that free kick was just sublime. But should Edouard Mendy have done better?
I don't think so. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans do question him in terms of his discipline and his endeavour and his ability at times. But, you know, he has put in a top. He's had a go at his teammates when he's had to, which I think they need. You know, when Holding sort of did it on the ball and played it out of play, you can tell those two had a bit of a row. And that's the sort of stuff you want to see, right, when you're Arsenal fans, because that's what the fans will be hoping. Like, that's not good enough. And then you got Xhaka saying, come on, do better. And that's what you want. That's what you want from a player. And then obviously had the switch of play out to Tierney, which was magnificent for the penalty. And obviously his free kick was outstanding. You know, how he addressed the ball. You know, Lacazette spotted it for him. You know, and normally when you're taking a free kick, right, you'd like to spot it yourself, don't you? I'm going to put this down in this blade of grass. It's exactly, you know, and the valve is going to be here, and the letter of the night tick is going to, wherever it is, you know, it's going to be in this position. Lacazette did it for him. He just stepped up so casual. You know, I don't think anyone really expected it to be banged past Mendy like it was. And I don't think Mendy could have done much. I really don't.
Let's go back to the penalty very quickly, because bit of a debate raging on Twitter whether it was or not. My initial instinct was that it was. I think he made enough contact for him to go down. We've seen that plenty of times this season. Questions over whether or not Tierney won it. against Reece James. Doesn't matter though, does it?
Well, I mean, on, say, the numerous replays that you see, it looked like maybe his foot got stuck, hit the ground, and then he went over. And was there much contact with Reece James?
He still had his arm across him, though.
Yeah. It's just, what I'm getting at is, Faith, there was just one replay from one angle. Yeah. Whereas if you had a replay from, say, the opposite side, behind the goal angle, it probably would have looked a stonewall penalty. But we had it from the other side. So I'm sort of, I don't know what to say really there. It's difficult to know where the contact. It's so hard to really see that contact. But I don't know. Reece James didn't offer much of as if he didn't do much of an apology or whatever. He didn't have too many protestations. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
No, well, it was given, and Lacazette scored it, and actually he hadn't scored in the Premier League since the 28th of September. That was against Liverpool. When I initially saw it, Arsenal had scored first in that game but went on to lose 3-1. But of course now they have 2 goals against Chelsea, so Frank Lampard and his side with it all to do. Back with you shortly, David. Let's get the latest from Betfair, though, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. Try Betfair today. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
OK, Barry Orr, this has changed things up a little bit. How are the odds looking?
Just turned it on its head, Faye. Yeah, it was 4-1 against Arsenal at the kick-off, and they're 4-1 on now to go on and claim all 3 points. 1.27 Arsenal. Chelsea currently trading around the 14-1 mark, 14.5. The draw 6.8, which is just 6-1. In correct score betting, if you think it's going to stay 2-0 to the Gunners, that's 7-2, or maybe a 2-all draw, as unlikely as that seems. I haven't looked at Chelsea in the first half. That's 11-2.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Barry. That odds update, all thanks to Betfair, returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only. Conditions apply. Go to begambleaware.org.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. Try Betfair today. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Fascinating scenes at the Emirates. Arsenal 2 goals up against their London rivals Chelsea. Second half commentary coming next on Game Day exclusive on TalkSport.
Game Day exclusive on TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Don't part exchange, get money off your next car.
As all the big games kick off across the nation, head to thesun.co.uk/football for all the fallout following another massive weekend of football in the Premier League and beyond. The hottest news, essential views, live blogs, and the biggest opinions in the game from the biggest names in the game.
They've done it!
And with a reporter at every game across the country, thesun.co.uk/football has all the football news you need. The Sun. We live it.
Finding your perfect new home can be tough. So if you keep missing out,
it's time to search at
There are thousands of new properties to buy or rent every month at onthemarket.com. 24 hours or more before they're on Rightmove or Zoopla. See them first. Set up a property alert today.
Search onthemarket.com to find your perfect home.
If you're in the market, search onthemarket.com. See onthemarket.com/new and exclusive. Agents specify exclusivity.
Ain't nothing changed here. Getting sushi delivered by a reindeer. Most wonderful time of the year. It's a just eat anything vibe over here. Warming up with a miso soup. Me so bossy and me so snoop. Got my man Mr. Claus on the line. Let him know that it's just eat time. Happy holidays, it's a doggy-dog Christmas. Lot of treats to complete on the wish list. Whatever the venue, hit up the menu.
Did somebody say just eat?
This Christmas, the movie event of the year comes home to Disney Plus.
Soul. It's so good.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus.
I mean, this I gotta see.
It's the perfect Christmas treat.
Isn't this exciting?
Disney and Pixar's Soul.
It's marvelous.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus now. 18 plus, subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Horse racing is about picking winners, right?
Wrong. You see, betting on the Betfair exchange is like trading on the stock market. So instead of just picking winners, you look for opportunities where odds might move in your favour and you could lock in a profit. Why not give it a try? The Betfair exchange.
Basic package customers pay 2% commission. Other charges may apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
We got it at Selco. Selco it's where the trade goes.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade quality building products. In December, we've got Brissac Oak V-Groove 12mm laminate flooring for just £7.49 per square metre ex VAT. Now that's a real deal. Find even more real deals at selcobw.com.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
VAT charged at 20%.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with the Now TV Sky Sports Pass. The only place to watch Leeds versus Burnley and West Ham versus Brighton live tomorrow for just $9.99. Search Now TV, 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
It's the halfway point in the season. Some clubs seek to strengthen their squad, while others are in search of last-minute game changers.
That is a fantastic goal!
In the hope it will boost their chances of promotion or survival. The transfer window opens up soon. TalkSport is the place to get the latest transfer news first. Regular updates of the comings and goings of every club. The latest rumours and all the deals as they happen. Plus, get a full lowdown at TalkSport.com. The January transfer window on TalkSport.
One day, so much football.
No one has better football on the radio. Game day exclusive on TalkSport.
This is Game Day exclusive on TalkSport. I'm Faye Carruthers. Second half commentary of Arsenal against Chelsea coming up, followed by live and exclusive radio commentary of Manchester City against Newcastle here on TalkSport. And over on TalkSport 2, Sheffield United against Everton. Been plenty of goals today. Here's how it played out on TalkSport on Game Day.
Rashford into the penalty area for Fernandez's pass and he slipped it home. And Manchester United lead away from home again. Leicester have got it back again and Barnes is working his way for a shot. And what a shot it is from Harvey Barnes. He smacked the ball behind a stranded David De Gea. And Leicester City are back on terms. On the half turn into Fernandez inside the area. Fernandez low under the goalkeeper and in, and Manchester United are in front. Manchester United with 12 minutes to go, get in front. Got the return, Perez round the back, low cross into the centre. Vardy, oh, what a finish! What a finish, what an equaliser from Jamie Vardy. It finishes Leicester 2, Manchester United 2.
I thought we played a really, really good game against a top side. I think they've won every game this season away from home, so that shows you the level that they're at. But I think it also showed the level that we were at, that they were really competitive against a very good side.
Sometimes I can tear my hair off because I can see an easier pass and a simpler pass and it gives it away, but then I let him be Bruno, I let him be himself and play the way he wants to play the game. As you said, he's produced so much for us.
Into the 5th minute at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0 already, and a move all started by John McGinn and finished by Bertrand Traore.
Will Vokes is 6 or 7 yards inside his own half, first time, launches it forward. Reyes miles off his line. The ball bounces, I think, just over the line and bounces into the top corner. Incredible scenes here. What a goal when you see that. Cardiff 1, Brentford 0.
For Bulldog. Oh, he gives it back to Semedo in the area. Wonderful second goal. Out for Semedo. Fires Reading 2 ahead. Lovely interplay between him and Sam Baldock. Tyrone Mings has seen red for Aston Villa for a second yellow card. It was once again a coming together with Zaha. It had happened just a few moments earlier, and the pair were at it again.
Fulham 0, Southampton 1. Brilliant ball from the right-hand side from Che Adams and Theo Walcott. What a lone spell this has been so far. There may be an offside here in the build-up. It was Che Adams who was put through, and this goal will be ruled out.
It's his size 12 Che Adams that are just that little bit in front of Aina. It's Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 0, and this will probably be game over now as far as Villa are concerned with 3-goal difference now. El Ghazi has got the goal.
It finished Fulham 0, Southampton 0, a 4th straight draw for Fulham, but a point not enough to lift the hosts out of the bottom 3.
I've seen teams struggling the past year and really fighting for this getting a point, but today it was the maximum we can get.
I thought it was tough on us, the red card, the 2 yellows. I thought the first one was pathetic when you're getting attacked and you're trying to stop somebody from attacking you and you get a yellow card. When the opposition in this league have got an extra man, then you've got to stay vigilant, and I thought the players did.
Today losing 3-0 here and against 10 men for a large part of the game, that's also enough to make any manager, I think, feel crestfallen, and we now got tomorrow to try and pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and make certain that we give a better performance on Monday.
A bumper Boxing Day on Game Day on Talk Sport, and plenty more to come. Manchester City against Newcastle here at 8 o'clock on Talk Sport. On Talk Sport 2, Sheffield United against Everton, and second half commentary of Arsenal against Chelsea coming up with some changes, I do believe, at the Emirates. David Connolly.
Yes, I mean, Nigel said it when Frank, he had his coat off before he's even down a tunnel, and I reckon that got chucked across the dressing room, and he's basically read them the right act, and they've been out for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes now. He wants a response. Made a double change, Hudson-Odoi and Jorginho coming on, and it looks like Werner and Kovacic off.
Interesting. Let's see what they can do in that case. So, as David said, Chelsea were out early. We're just waiting for Arsenal to make their way out for this second half. It was an entertaining first half. What can Chelsea do to try and claw this one back? It's Arsenal against Chelsea at the Emirates. Our commentary team are David Connolly and Nigel Adderley.
Thank you, Faye. And they were out so early, there were no referees to actually allow the Chelsea players to come onto the field. But Hudson-Odoi and Jorginho do come on now, and it's Timo Werner and Mateo Kovacic, the players who are replaced. And Frank Lampard had a face like thunder as he went down the dressing, and that's not changed.
If looks could kill, yeah, he's not a happy man. Obviously, he wants the same response from his team that Arteta got out of his team in the first half. That's what he wants.
Well, it's Arsenal who will get the second half underway. No changes for them. And no surprise either, as Lacazette plays it back towards Holding. A reminder of their team once again. It is Leno in goal. A back four of Bellerin, Holding, Mari and Tierney. Xhaka is on the right and Martinelli is on the left, with Xhaka and Elneny in the middle, with Smith Rowe playing alongside Lacazette, or just behind him. For Chelsea, it is now Mendy in goal. James, Zuma, Thiago and Chilwell, the back four. The three in midfield now, Conte, Jorginho and Mount, with Pulisic and Abraham alongside Hudson-Odoi in attack.
Well, I think the challenge for certainly Hudson-Odoi is, I think he's much better off the left, which is why he really struggled, obviously, when Hazard was there to get in his favoured side. I think he's better off the left, but Pulisic's there now. So obviously Hudson-Odoi is operating off this right-hand side, which I think he's less effective from, but, you know, hasn't really got much choice. Got to get in there and make an impact.
Chelsea in all blue, Arsenal in red and white, on what is a very chilly, damp evening in North London. Very unusual scenes for a Boxing Day in the current circumstances. Driving to the game, you would expect so much colour, so much noise, so much anticipation, but of course the streets were empty around the Emirates Stadium. As Mount gathers for Chelsea out on the left-hand side, cuts in field, and he's got support from James. James quickly transfers it to the right-hand side. First opportunity for Hudson-Odoi to attack Tierney. Cross into the penalty area, and it's headed over the top at the far post by Bellerin for a corner. And it was a really good delivery, caused confusion, and Bellerin was able to deal with it.
Yeah, brilliant ball here. It just goes half a yard over the head of Abraham, who I don't know, is he saying that maybe there was a little push in his back there? It's appealing for something, but cleared in the end by Bellerin.
Chelsea corner, played short and then clipped high towards the far post, and Hudson-Odoi, and it's a real disappointment this time. Overhit and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, I just don't know why they didn't put it in the box there. You know, there's such joy from set pieces. Chelsea scored so many goals with headers and getting the first contact, Zuma, Silva, etc. Just put it in there, takes it short, and what a waste.
Well, Arsenal have won 46 of their last 48 Premier League games, in which they've led by at least 2 goals at half-time, and they drew the other 2, and it's the first time they've led by 2 goals before the break this season, which is not really a surprise. 4 wins, 2 draws and 8 defeats so far, and Chelsea heading for 3 successive away defeats, and that's not happened for a couple of years. There have now been 98 goals in Chelsea's 26 and a half games under Frank Lampard away from home. They often score big, but they can concede as well, and they're yet to have a shot on target in this game, as Elneny plays it wide to the far side again, and James will step in ahead of Tierney and just cushion a header out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Arsenal. And there was a very tight turnaround for Chelsea following this game. They're in action at 5:30 on Monday on TalkSport at home to Aston Villa. And we have all 10 Premier League games from the midweek round, Monday through until Wednesday, across the TalkSport network, either on TalkSport, TalkSport 2 or the app. And by downloading the app, it's the best way to follow. Another bumper midweek of Premier League action across the TalkSport network as Smith Rowe is flagged offside.
Well, the other interesting aspect of this is defensively, yes, Chelsea going forward with Hudson-Odoi on the right, but, you know, going the other way, do you really trust him to track the likes of Kieran Tierney? You know, that's the challenge for him. You know, he won't want to do that, and that's not his strength, Hudson-Odoi, but he's going to have to put a real shift in. That's been Arsenal's best side, this left, and you need real diligence out of possession. We'll have to wait and see how the second half goes here with, obviously, Tierney down this left.
Mendy clears downfield. And here is Conte. And now Hudson-Odoi coming in field again to find support from James. And Timo Werner, of course, taken off at half-time. And inevitably, with the amount of money spent, people will look at his performance, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, he had that sort of really soft, weak shot attempt at goal, and he couldn't quite sort his feet out. He had that touch where he was a bit under his feet for his left foot attempt that was blocked by Holding, and didn't really have an impact on the game, to be honest, but he wasn't really allowed to.
Well, they're young players, Werner and Havertz, who was on the bench, but they were seen as Chelsea's missing link in many ways, and neither of them are here.
Yeah.
Now Mendy plays it wide to the far side, and Thiago Silva. Back towards Mendy again, who won't be keeping a clean sheet here today. Lacazette and Xhaka saw to that before half-time. Tammy Abraham with a good header wide towards this near side, and James infield towards Mount, and there is room here for him to feed it further wide to the left, and Chilwell. Now Mount again on the corner of the penalty area, post infield to Pulisic, back towards Mount again. Can he deliver the cross? He's initially held up. He's got Pulisic in support, but it's very congested. Pulisic fires in the shot, which is blocked on the edge of the 6-yard area by Holding. And Arsenal will eventually clear the ball away on the far side, and they get a deflection and they have a throw-in. But for the first time in the game, really, Arsenal look like getting in behind them. Now Bellerin on the far side will have the throw-in. And if you're Arsenal, do you try and protect the lead, David, or the way they're set up, do you think that the best way of defending that lead is to push forward?
Well, possibly. I think that not too much should change from them in terms of how they've played. You know, they've just played really well, but that was a really casual pass there from Holding.
Holding's given the ball away to Hudson-Odoi. Here is Conte. Now Jorginho, who scored in the previous 2 league games, works it wide towards this near side. Hudson-Odoi again, finding Conte on the edge of the penalty area. Hudson-Odoi maybe thought about delivering the cross, but he scoops it out towards Jorginho on the edge of the area, but Lacazette coming back, just blocked off his run. And it's cleared long downfield by Xhaka again. Martinelli is the player pressurising Zouma, and he almost robbed the Frenchman, who does well to maintain his balance and possession and then stride forward over the halfway line. Here is Pulisic down the Chelsea left, supported by Mount. Chilwell just pulls up as he was looking to go in on the overlap, but Chelsea maintain possession. And now Zouma brings it forward again. Arsenal are very deep here, leading by 2-0 on Game Day on TalkSport. Hudson-Odoi finding James. And here is Conte. Conte with a cross into the penalty area. Nodded away initially by Pablo Mari. 2 Chelsea players go for the same ball. That's an Arsenal player who has gone down clutching his back, but Arsenal will look to play on because Smith Rowe was motoring over the halfway line until he eventually checks back. Sees he has a teammate in distress, Martinelli, and it's had to play for a throw-in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hudson-Odoi's had a really good impact since he's come on. He's given them something that's looked really sharp. And if they do sit off Arsenal as they are, then I'll be looking to get Giroud on, you know, because there's a lot of crosses now coming in the box, and they need someone like him in there. We have seen that, haven't we, in terms of putting 2 strikers on the pitch. Giroud up with Tammy Abraham as well.
Slightly surprised it didn't happen at half-time.
Yeah. But, you know, we have seen, I think it was the Wolves game, maybe the Everton game he brought on, and so he played 2. He had 2 of them up there, throwing a kitchen sink at them when they were trying to get a goal, and I just wonder, they didn't get a goal in those games, but
Now James will take the throw in, and Conte will give it back to Arsenal. Leading here by 2-0. There was some confusion there as the ball went back towards Pablo Mari. All of a sudden he was challenged by Tammy Abraham, and he had to play it with a bit more urgency. Here is Abraham now, looks to nod it wide to this near side. He was slightly unlucky because he'd got goal side of Tierney, but then the ball just ricocheted off his trailing leg out of play, and he thumped the ball into the turf in his frustration, because things have not happened for Tammy Abraham today, but he's not alone in a blue shirt in saying that. Kieran Tierney will take the throw in 8 minutes into the second half here on Game Day on TalkSport. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Manchester City against Newcastle with Joe Shannon and Jermaine Beckford. Sheffield United against Everton will be over on TalkSport 2 with Mark Wilson and Neil Redfern. And download the TalkSport app, and you can swipe between the two stations and swipe between the two commentaries as we head into the Boxing Day evening. Now Pulisic wide to the far side, and Mount, who does well to clip across into the penalty area. Abraham was the target, but it was gathered by Leno at the near post.
Yeah, really good goalkeeping here. He just read the ball in, Leno, from Mount, and just took it off the head of Abraham. Just be looking to settle down, but again they're electing to try and play out. I don't think that was on from Leno.
Now Holding, as Arsenal do try and play out. Good ball forward from him to find Xhaka into the path of Lacazette. And now Xhaka again will play it wide towards Bellerin, who's got space and time to attack down the right. Also supported by Smith Rowe. Saka with a break into the penalty area, and a cross in goes in off the far post from Bukayo Saka. Well, if he meant that, he is an absolute genius, because he floated the ball in from wide on the right-hand side, over the head of Edouard Mendy, in off the far post, and surely Arsenal have ended their long winless streak in the Premier League and against one of their major London rivals. What about this for a scoreline? Arsenal 3, Chelsea 0.
Well, this is completely against the run of play in this second half. I mean, they start in their own box, Arsenal, work it all the way through Chelsea's, and there's Saka just inside the box. He's looking to float that into the far post with his weaker white foot. I don't know whether Mendy feels he's just going out of play. Everyone did, I think. In the end, just comes off the inside of the post, and I think that was a little bit lucky from Bukayo Saka, but he'll take it, make no mistake.
His second goal of the season, Arsenal's third this evening. And this is a real coupon buster, 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, that was their first time they've been in the Chelsea half of note. And I think it was just a hopeful ball in from Saka, just trying to loft it into an area with his weaker right foot. But Mendy certainly thought that was going out of play.
Well, Chelsea made the better start to the second half, but now they trail by 3-0. And they've got to be careful this doesn't get really ugly with so many games in quick succession. 11 minutes played in the second half. Here is Conte over the halfway line. Of course, they were 3 goals down at West Brom earlier this season, live on TalkSport, and came back to get a draw. Hudson-Odoi finding James. The early cross in is flicked on by Abraham. Chilwell will keep the ball in play at the far post, but he's challenged by Bellerin, and the ball had gone behind, and a corner has been given in the end to Chelsea.
Yeah, and it's another cross in the box, which is why I'd have Giroud on. You know, they are going to narrow Arsenal up, who are going to defend for their lives, so there will be space wide. That's why he's got to get Giroud on too.
Chelsea have scored the most goals from corners in the Premier League so far this season. It's whipped in, looking for Zuma, but headed away at the near post. Now Conte finding James. High diagonal ball into the penalty area. Zuma still forward, and he almost flicks it into the path of Pulisic, but it drifts beyond the American and behind for a goal kick.
I think Holding just did enough here. Really good defender. He might have taken one for the team, a little knock on the back of his head, but he had to get tight to Zuma. He did that, just did enough. He's up and he's okay.
But it's not happening for Chelsea. And at what stage do you bring on Olivier Giroud?
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, I'd get him on. But the challenge for Frank, Lampard, is that obviously he has brought and played those two up top before, and it hasn't quite got him a goal either. So, but 3-0 down. I mean, obviously that goal came really against the run of play.
Well, they're heading for 3 successive away defeats in a row. And they're back at home at Stamford Bridge on Monday, so a very tight turnaround for Chelsea when they're at home to Aston Villa. Of course, live on TalkSport. All of the midweek games are live across the TalkSport network, and it becomes a big game for Chelsea against a side who are enjoying some form as Pulisic is challenged and fouled by Bellerin on the far side, and it will be a free kick level with the edge of the Arsenal penalty area on the Chelsea left.
Yeah, this is as good as a corner, certainly for Chelsea. All the, Silva's going up, Zuma's going up.
And it's Chilwell who is over it, although James could be the option to provide the in-swinger. Lacazette, Xhaka and Saka scoring the Arsenal goals. Chilwell's free kick, a Chelsea player goes down. It's cleared as far as Mount, who is closed down as he hits it on the edge of the penalty area, and as a result it shoots up in the air and high over the top for a goal kick.
Yeah, not the best ball in from Chilwell, and you've got to say maybe their set piece today hasn't quite been on the money so far. Headed clear by Lacazette to the edge of the box, straight to Mason Mount. That heavy first touch just took him into traffic, and in the end the shot went wide.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is warming up. I'm sure he'll be keen to get a piece of the action now. With Arsenal leading by 3-0. And this was a game which was built up as one which was so important for Mikel Arteta. And a team full of youngsters are delivering. Here is Xhaka now, wide towards Tierney. On this near side, the left, Tierney's high cross into the penalty area, brought down by Lacazette. The overhead kick from Smith Rowe. In fact, Martinelli, I should say. And it's gathered by Mendy.
Yeah, nice little effort here from Martinelli. Good ball to the back post from Tierney. Just pops it up with his first touch, and then a little bicycle kick, but didn't really have the power to beat Mendy from that sort of distance, about 12 yards out. Needed to really put his foot through it, get a good connection.
14 minutes gone in the second half. Arsenal leading here by 3-0. And Chelsea, as things stand, unable to make up ground on those who've dropped points above them. But here is Mount now on the edge of the penalty area, supported by Pulisic. Pulisic with a right-footed shot, which is blocked by El Neni. Spins out towards Lacazette, and now wide towards Bukayo Saka on the far side, but it's given away. And here is Abraham now on the edge of the penalty area. Jorginho spreads it wide to the left again. Chilwell on the overlap with the crossing, looking for Hudson-Odoi, but he's unable to apply the finish. The ball just skimming his forehead, and it's cleared away by Smith Rowe. As things stand, Chelsea will be 6th in the table, level on points with Aston Villa, and also Spurs, who play tomorrow, as Conte plays a high cross into the penalty area. Southampton also on 25 points following their 0-0 draw at Fulham today. Aston Villa, despite playing the game with most of the game with 10 men, beating Crystal Palace by 3-0. Liverpool are at home to West Bromwich Albion tomorrow. They have 31 points. Leicester on 28. Manchester United on 27. Everton are in our TalkSport 2 commentary at 8 o'clock. They have 26 points, and they are away to Sheffield United, who of course are right at the bottom.
I mean, how many crosses have we had now? Do you think nearly double figures, I think, in this second half? And as I said at the start, that's why I'd have Giroud on, because there's missed opportunities every time the ball's going in the box. You've got Mari up there, you've got Holding up there. You need someone else to get on the end of it, because they're pretty small, Chelsea, apart from Abraham, certainly in the front areas.
Now Tierney with a long ball over the top, which is volleyed clear by Zuma, flicked on by Hudson-Odoi in the halfway line. Abraham working hard to find support, and he's found Pulisic. Wide to the right now, and Hudson-Odoi. A high early cross into the penalty area, and Saka knew that Chilwell was coming forward on the overlap. Really accomplished defending to cushion a header back into the arms of Bernd Leno. And Arsenal looking to break now, leading by 3-0. It's been a Boxing Day to forget so far for Chelsea, as Mount plays a high ball wide to the far side, then has head in hands. He looks almost distraught as it spins over the head of Pulisic and straight out of play.
Yeah, but I think Leno, look, they had really good play in terms of the third goal, but I think there was no need to really get the ball back in motion quickly. Settle down. You've been under a little bit of pressure. Maybe get everyone up the pitch. Get it more into your structure rather than trying to play quickly, because it turned over, and Arsenal all over the place. Just at times, I don't think it's on for Arsenal to try and play out and play quick. That should be Leno. That should be his skipper there saying, right, settle down. We're all going to get up the pitch.
17 minutes played in the second half here on Game Day on TalkSport on this Boxing Day. Arsenal leading Chelsea by 3-0. As Arsenal look to build again in the centre circle, it's spread wide neatly by Martinelli. And here is Tierney charging forward into the penalty area. Back in field towards Martinelli. And his low right-footed shot is saved superbly by Mendy. Arsenal almost making it 4.
Great save here from Mendy. I mean, I think Martinelli just had to wait for the ball to come across his body, but a really good break. Came from Tierney, that man again. And that's what I said about Hudson-Odoi. Are you sure he's going to be able to track Tierney down this side? Just burst into that sort of area. Lovely link-up play for Martinelli. Just a return pass, lacked that little bit of pace. He had to really wait for the ball to come across him, but Mendy got down well.
Emile Smith-Rowe is now coming off to be replaced by Joe Willock, and interesting to see there. Granit Xhaka as one of the senior men.
Yeah,
went to Smith-Rowe on the way off and said, "Well played, man."
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you want. You want your senior players and pros to really appreciate the shift that you've put in, and he's certainly done that, Smith-Rowe. I think he's been outstanding.
And there's a slap on the back from Mikel Arteta as well as he heads towards the Arsenal technical area. Chelsea 3 down. Hudson-Odoi with a cross into the penalty area, headed away at the near post by Pablo Mari, and David Connolly alongside me throws up his arms in anguish once again.
Well,
you'd be making those runs across the post, wouldn't you?
Someone's got to. That's why I'd get another, get Giroud on there, and certainly he's got the physical presence and power to get across Mari and hold in, be a real nuisance.
Joe Willock, another young player who has shown up well in the Europa League so far this season.
Look how they're narrowing up Arsenal. They're almost inviting the cross, going, you know what, with what Chelsea have got in the box, we can handle it. They're happy for that. If Giroud came on, it'd be a little bit different. They'd have to start getting out and blocking those balls.
And now Bukayo Saka goes to ground under the challenge of Chilwell, but he fouled him on the way down. Chelsea take a quick free kick. Here is Pulisic now, twisting and turning inside the penalty area. Really good cross in, but even better defending from Granit Xhaka there. Wow. 3 yards out, facing his own goal, under pressure from Conte. And he just guided it back towards Lena.
He just chests it back to him from basically...
That could have gone very wrong.
It could have done, but that's the confidence that he's displaying. And he's put on a top performance here, Granit Xhaka. He really has. Both boxes, in the middle of the park, everywhere, you name it.
Chelsea have now conceded at least 3 goals on 3 different occasions in the Premier League this season, as a cross from Tammy Abraham down the right-hand side floats gently into the midriff of Bernd Leno.
Well, that's because Tammy's now drifting wide, because he's thinking, I'm not going to get on the end of a cross, so I'll come out, I'll deliver a cross, and then there's no one in there.
And Arsenal breaking forward again now, with Saka into the penalty area right-hand side. It's Joe Willock in space in the central area. Back towards Saka again. Lacazette demanding the early ball in. The shot there was deflected. It'll fall nicely to Willock, who inside the 6-yard area lofts the ball over the top.
Yeah,
Arsenal are absolutely destroying them on the break.
They're such a threat. I mean, we saw this against Wolves from Chelsea, but lovely little spin round the corner from Lacazette. Saka's in. A little pass into Willock, a heavy touch, but in the end, the reaction from the Chelsea defenders when it does break Arsenal's way is far too slow. It's 3 or 4 players just really slow to react, and actually Willock could have easily scored there.
And you're listening to Arsenal versus Chelsea on Talk Sport with Now TV. Don't forget you can watch Liverpool against West Brom and Wolves v Tottenham live tomorrow with a Now TV Sky Sports Pass for just $9.99. Search Now TV. Zuma plays it back towards Mendy again, and Chelsea look to work their way out, but at the moment Arsenal are pressing. They're pressing very high, and the ball is played back by James, and to avoid a corner, Mendy has to scoot across towards this near side. Then the clearance is just looped forward. There's a game of head tennis between Jorginho and Thiago Silva on the edge of the penalty area. It is not convincing at all, but eventually El Neni is caught, and it will be a free kick. But this is a Chelsea team who many people have talked about as potential dark horses for honours this season, and at the moment a team lacking confidence, lacking results, are taking them to the cleaners. But here is Conte on this near side, wide towards James. Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the penalty area, wide towards James again. The low cross in is blocked by Gabriel Mari. Hudson-Odoi's got time to find James. Hudson-Odoi again with a very intricate ball down the line, looking for Conte, and James with a high cross in. It's nodded down at the far post. Will it fall to Conte? It won't. Now Jorginho finding Pulisic. Pulisic, though, is challenged by Lacazette, and Bellerin will try and lead the breakaway for Arsenal. And eventually the challenge comes in and Arsenal have a throw-in on the halfway line.
Yeah, and they're so deep, obviously, Arsenal. All 11, probably, 40 yards from their goal when they don't have the ball, and just saying to Chelsea, come on in, can you break us down? Invariably, they don't want to risk possession with a little intricate pass, so they just end up delivering the ball in the box. They've defended it so well, Arsenal. Chelsea have not really got on the end of anything.
Nicolas Pepe coming on shortly. Currently, Arsenal 3, Chelsea 0 for the latest odds. Head to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. Right now, you can get an Arsenal win at 1.03, the draw at 36, or back a Chelsea win at 140, all thanks to Betfair. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Well, I've seen Frank, he's either having a look at Giroud, or he's having a look at what's going on with Pepe coming on. And if he doesn't make a change, or he's almost accepted they've lost this game, right? And they're just thinking about the next one. I think if he doesn't bring Giroud on, he's thinking, right, he's playing,
and he
obviously.
starts Giroud on Monday.
Exactly. And, you know, as you said earlier, they've come back from 3-0 down before.
But that was West Brom.
Yeah, I know, but...
Here is Hudson-Odoi. Now wide towards Reece James. Hudson-Odoi again. If they do come for 3 goals down in a London derby like this, it will be talked about for years. But there's no real sign of it at the moment. And it's Martinelli who comes off and Pepe who comes on. And I was at that West Brom game, David, and you could see it coming from the opening seconds of the second half.
Yeah.
You can't see it happening here, can
No, you can't. Well, look, the third goal, not the stuffing out of them completely against a run of play. If that hadn't happened, who knows? Question of what ifs. But no, it's been a really abject performance. It really has. And there's no excuse because, you know, they've had a travel far which has been levelled at the sort of Everton performance and the Wolves performance. Obviously, only down the road or at, you know, short journey.
Chelsea's record against the so-called Big Six coming into this game was 2 draws and 4 defeats. And Arsenal, despite all of their problems, that they've done okay against the bigger clubs. 7 wins, 1 draw and 7 defeats, which, considering where they are in the league table and some of the home defeats they've had, that they often raise their game for the big occasion. And many of their fans may be saying, well, why can't we play like this against Burnley?
Yeah, but what I would say is in Arsenal's defence, Arteta had to change things, and he has done. You know, he changed shape, which they did against Man City, and, you know, he's got the performance, and obviously the personnel have come in and done a job as well.
We'll get team news shortly from the Etihad Stadium, or 8 o'clock commentary. Manchester City against Newcastle with Jermaine Beckford and Joe Shannon as Chelsea look to come forward now. Across into the penalty area is deflected, headed away by Tierney. An Arsenal player goes down whilst the ball was in the air. It's a Mari, and it will be a free kick to Arsenal, who at the moment, as we approach the final 20 minutes, don't look to be in a huge amount of trouble, as Olivier Giroud was warming up a few moments ago, but he's gone back to his seat, sat down with the air of a man who doesn't look as though he's coming on.
Well, he's not, because it looks like Havertz is. So, you know, that's the change. And obviously, I think he's keeping Giroud for Monday. And then as another cross comes in the box and Chelsea don't get a contact on it. So, you imagine it's just going to be a similar story.
19 minutes to play. Arsenal 3, Chelsea 0 on Game Day on TalkSport. Here is Pulisic coming forward, wide towards the left-hand side. And Chilwell's cross in, and again, it is catching practice for Leno. Kai Havertz will be coming on shortly. The player's only scored once in 12 Premier League games so far. And another player who has found it difficult to adapt to life in the Premier League. Of course, it's a unique season, and the demands on the players are huge at the moment, particularly for a club like Chelsea playing domestically and in the Champions League as well. Whereas Lacazette has been bowled over midway inside the Chelsea half, and the yellow card is out as well for Thiago Silva.
Yeah, he's a little bit late. I don't know if he catches Lacazette. He just puts his arm, his face.
His hand was on the side of his head, and Lacazette went down as if he'd been gouged.
Yes, that's true.
Don't think he was. Havertz coming on, and it's Conte who is coming off. So Chelsea going for it here, as they have to really, trailing by 3 goals to 0. We'll be off to the Etihad shortly for team news from our 8 o'clock kickoff, but Arsenal have a free kick here, which Sacco is over, scorer of the third goal, and he pings it high into the penalty area beyond everybody and behind for a goal kick. So let's get team news from Manchester City against Newcastle and say good evening to Joe Shen.
Good evening, Nigel. One change to the Manchester City side that beat Southampton. Walker drops out, having tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday, along with Gabriel Jesus. So Nathan Ake is his replacement. 4 changes to the Newcastle team that drew with Fulham. Callum Wilson among those to drop out, alongside Shelvey, Sean Longstaff and Dummett. Cher, Hayden, Murphy and Matty Longstaff, his first start of the season, are the 4 to come in. And kick-off on Talk Sport is at 8 o'clock.
Cheers, Joe. As a Chelsea cross into the penalty area from James, takes a deflection and goes behind for a corner. And over on Talk Sport 2, coverage now getting underway of the 8 o'clock kickoff there from the Premier League. Sheffield United against Everton, commentary from Mark Wilson and Neil Redfern. And if you download the app, you can swipe between both of those games from 8 o'clock. Corner from Mount, high into the penalty area. And the header from Thiago Silva is over the top from inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time that we've really seen these corners be effective for Chelsea in this game, and it's been a real strength for theirs this season. I think it might be Tierney that's marking Zuma, and Zuma just gets up above him, but no, you're right, it was Silva in the end, but I think Zuma just clatters into Tierney, just slightly behind him, so he's got his head down, but he looks okay.
Kieran Tierney is back on his feet. And following the commentary on TalkSport at 10 o'clock, we will have the Sports Bar Weekender, Gabriel Agbonlahor, part of our team, taking your calls on all of the day's action in both the Premier League and the EFL as well. Leicester 2, Manchester United 2 in our lunchtime commentary. 10-man Aston Villa beating Crystal Palace by 3-0. Goalless at Craven Cottage between Fulham and the Saints. In the Championship, it's a 7:45 kickoff. The leaders Norwich are at Watford. Swansea are now second following a 2-0 victory at Queen's Park Rangers. Sergei Canos, who'd scored 1 goal since April of 2019, scored a hat-trick for Brentford in their 3-2 win at Cardiff. And in TalkSport 2's commentary game, Reading also beat Luton by 2-1. As a long ball is played forward for Chelsea, looking for Pulisic. Cleared away by Bellerin. It's won back initially by Havertz, but now Bukayo Saka wide towards Bellerin again. The top of the Championship, top 6, Norwich 43, Swansea 39, Bournemouth, who didn't play today, 38, Brentford 38, Reading 36, Watford 34. It is boiling up to be another madhouse season in the Championship. Now Hudson-Odoi on this near side for Chelsea, trailing here by 3-0. Abraham on the edge of the penalty area just collides with Pablo Mari as they both chased a long ball forward, and it's the Spaniard who has gone down and stayed down on the edge of the area with 14 minutes to play here. We'll be bringing you reaction from both camps as the evening goes on here on TalkSport. And at the moment, I'm anticipating, David, my interview with Mikel Arteta may be easier than the one with Frank Lampard.
Yes.
Frank Lampard's going to be absolutely fuming at
He will, yeah. Look, I don't think much had changed from his half-time demeanour, where he was absolutely raging. Obviously took his coat off and I imagine flung that across the dressing room and given him a right rollicking, but he hasn't seen any response like he has done in other games. So see this little contact here. I think it's clash of knees between Abraham and Pablo Mari, but that's the first time we really see Chelsea be quick. So a square pass in the middle of the park, and Mason Mount wrapped the ball round the corner into Tammy. Tammy tried a little turn, let the ball run across his body, but Pablo Mari read it well. And you've got to say, he's had a really good game, Mari, hasn't he? Look, it suited him.
One rash challenge for the yellow card, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. But everything else in this game, he's marked Tammy Abraham's really tight. He's been aggressive, and I don't think Tammy likes it when defenders are aggressive against him. He's strong, he's big, he's got that physical power. And, maybe he was selected as well thinking Giroud might play. Do you know what I mean? Because he'll be able to combat Giroud. But as he is, obviously he's been up against Tammy, and he's done really, really well. It suits him if Chelsea put 20 crosses in the box, that's what he's made a living from, defending those, and that's exactly what Chelsea have done. They haven't been clever enough, have they, to sort of break down Arsenal or cut them apart. And they just haven't been cute and clever enough in and around the box.
Interestingly, Giroud will be up against a Villa team without Tyrone Mings on Monday night following his red card today. So they will miss him, won't they, Villa?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess as well, barring, say, the 7 goals Liverpool got, against Palace or whatever it was, they were level pegging, right, in terms of goals scored, Chelsea and Liverpool, but they've had sort of no cutting edge here today, haven't they? At all. From, sort of 5 or 6 front men now have had no impact on the game. And that's a real concern for them.
And you can follow Liverpool's game in the Sunday session with Sam Matterface and the team tomorrow. Sam Allardyce, of course, taking his West Bromwich Albion team to Anfield to face Liverpool, and of course he was the last manager to win there in the Premier League with Crystal Palace 66 games ago. If Sam Matterface is picking his team, they've got no chance. Here is James, wide towards Hudson-Odoi on this near side, cross into the penalty area, and the header from Abraham is over the top.
Yeah, well, that's probably the only time he's got a contact on the ball. You know why? Because Pablo Mari's off the pitch getting treatment. As it is, I think Mustafi's been told maybe to get warm, but Pablo Mari's back on now. It's another cross, though. It's just crossing practice. Great for the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi to refine his technique, but they could be here. I was going to say till Christmas, but we've had Christmas now, so
into next Christmas,
New Year. It could be here till the New Year, till maybe they score off one.
No, they've just not looked like it. Almost from the very start here, because they were under pressure. Arsenal were in their faces, and Arsenal's quality, we have to say, has overcome them in many areas. Now James will guide it back into his own penalty area, where he finds Zuma. And a neat triangle of possession between Zuma, Jorginho and James. Eventually works the ball away from the defensive third for Chelsea. Is it good for them? They've got so little time between now and the next game.
Yeah, make no mistake. Yeah, they'll want a response. And as I said, they're at home. The fixtures have been really kind to them. I mean, that's a present from Father Christmas. That 2 home games over Christmas and a London derby couldn't get any better. Look at some sides are travelling like hundreds and hundreds of miles.
And Arsenal have games coming up away to Brighton and West Bromwich Albion, but they will surely go into that Brighton game now, live on TalkSport on Tuesday, in a much better frame of mind. If they play like this, maybe with the same personnel, they shouldn't go in with the fear they've had clearly in recent weeks.
I mean, the question will be, why maybe hasn't he played a back 4? I think they're much better in a 4. I've got to be honest. I'm not a fan of a back 3, and I think they've looked so much better, and as well matching up the midfield. I think he's done a few things right tactically and with personnel that have really come off here.
Long run forward from Pulisic, but an excellent recovery run and challenge from Willock to win it back for Arsenal, and they will try and break now themselves, but Zuma just steps in before Willock, and the game now very disjointed as we approach the final stages. Here is Hudson-Odoi, and it's Pulisic, left-hand side of the penalty area, fizzes in the cross right through the 6-yard area. Nobody in blue on the end of it, and it's a goal, throw into Arsenal on this near side.
Yeah, lovely little step over though from Pulisic, little right foot step over. Obviously, he likes to do that thing. He's gone down the line, but the ball in probably a bit too close to the goalkeeper. Good start position, but he just pulled his hand away in time there, Leno. Didn't want to knock it back into play, so it's gone out for a throw.
And you're listening to Arsenal versus Chelsea on TalkSport with WeBuyAnyCar.com, rated excellent on Trustpilot with over 80,000 reviews.
Well, Tierney's got a yellow there. I mean, they have taken their time on a lot of these throws, as you'd expect, game management, and the ball's gone out of play, restarts, but he's just got a yellow card there for taking too long.
And don't forget, all 10 Premier League games across the TalkSport network coming up in the midweek. Here is Abraham with a burst into the penalty area, crowded out in the end. Half-hearted appeals for handball from some of the Chelsea replacements in front of us, but nothing was given, and now a long ball played forward, looking for Lacazette. Oh, it's been given away by Mendy, straight to Lacazette, and Mendy recovers with a brilliant save to keep out the curler from Lacazette, but that was almost a horror moment for the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Well, he redeemed himself here, but he actually should have had the opportunity to do so. Zuma plays it back to Mendy. He then tries to play the pass back to Zuma again. It wasn't on. And do you know what Lacazette does? He bends the ball to the far post, but really, if he goes near, I think he scores a goal. He could either lob it over him or go near.
go round him.
No, he looks to go wide, but what he's got to do is just look to play the far post, but then wrap it towards the near. He would have scored then. There was a massive hole at the near post, but
Chelsea careless right to the very end of this game. The corner high into the penalty area, not cleared conclusively. Elneny fires it in, and it's off the underside of the crossbar. What a goal that would have been. Now Lacazette inside the penalty area, holding with a shot, and it's blocked at the near post. It's a corner, and Chelsea here defensively are an absolute shambles.
Yes, goals in the charm life at the minute. Really good strike through, and then he ball drops around the penalty spot. He puts his foot through it, laces it, crashes off the underside of the bar. In the end, I think it's holding with another shot of goal, just deflected away from Mendy.
Well, Elneny has not scored a goal in the Premier League for Arsenal, and he won't come much closer there. Corner's very deep, high into the penalty area, headed away at the far post by Reece James. Now Mount with a long ball over the top. Hudson-Odoi will chase, and he's got support from Havertz inside. Hudson-Odoi brings the ball down. Willock again does well to show the energy to stay with him. Hudson-Odoi's ball in field to find Pulisic, almost collides with Michael Oliver. Then he picks his way through the penalty area, back towards Hudson-Odoi again. The cross is in low, and it's diverted in by Tammy Abraham, but the flag is raised.
Well, finally they got the ball in the back of the net from a cross, but the assistant referee has put his flag up for offside. I think it's Hudson-Odoi here. Lovely little footwork from Pulisic. As you say, referee gets in the way. As this ball comes in, is Abraham offside? Yep. Ooh, it's close.
It is very one of those. Close. Maybe his shoulder is offside, his left shoulder, as Hudson-Odoi delivers the ball in.
I don't know. I think he might be on here. It's tight. Who knows?
Maybe it's it's that left foot of the defender who is marking him, Bellerin. Yeah, he might be okay here, Abraham. He's onside.
I think so. It's tight, but
we're waiting, and we are still waiting. All of the players have headed back towards their positions around the halfway line. From the angle we can see there, Bellerin's foot looks to be playing him onside.
Yeah, it's a good ball in the box as well from Hudson-Odoi. He's had an excellent impact on the game. I prefer him off the left, but he's been such a threat.
He's onside. The goal has been given. They flashed up onside on the monitor in front of us. Well, Michael Oliver eventually agrees with the decision we have seen, and Chelsea have a goal back inside the final 10 minutes here. Tammy Abraham, who has worked hard with very little reward, now has the goal with 5 minutes to play. It is Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1.
Well, it was fired across the box, and he just got ahead of Bellerin, and he just sort of chested it into the goal, just deflected it, turned it towards goal, and yeah, they got their goal eventually from a ball in the box.
Here is Pepe now at the other end, and his low cross in is deflected behind by Reece James for a corner. Still time for a recovery.
Well, there is, yeah. I mean, look, they've come back, as you said earlier, from 3-0 down, so you never know. It's unlikely.
It's unlikely, admittedly. But it's a corner kick for Arsenal.
You've got to say, that ball in behind from Mason Mount was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Brilliant. It's about a 70-yard raking ball to Hudson-Odoi. Fantastic.
And Hudson-Odoi did well to make something of it. Here is Saka now with the cross in. High to the far post, Holding is rising to head the ball in field. It's gathered by Mendy, and all of a sudden there is more urgency about Chelsea now with 4 minutes to play on Game Day on TalkSport. 3-1 the scoreline. But if Chelsea can score in the next couple of minutes, they'll believe they can still get something from this game. Arsenal are still dropping, and they are dropping very deep now. Here is Pulisic, turning in field beyond Nenny, up towards the edge of the penalty area. Havertz wide towards Hudson-Odoi, and here is James with the cross, and it's deflected behind off Tierney's chest, and it will be a corner.
Yeah, he just put his hands behind his back here as the ball was coming in from James. He knew, didn't want to take any chances, ball coming off his hand. And again, this is where they get the first contact from these corners. Outswinger, Zuma and the like. Havertz in there too, Silva.
Mount with the corner, high towards the far post. It was Thiago Silva who rose, but there was no power behind the header. And Arsenal will clear out towards the far side where Hudson-Odoi allows the ball to drift out for a throw-in. Now Jorginho finding James. Here is Mount now down the right-hand side. And now there are so many Arsenal red and white shirts around the penalty area with 2.5 minutes of normal time to play. They still have that 2-goal lead, of course.
I don't know why Zuma's not in the box, though. Why is he still at the back?
Here is the cross in from Pulisic, and the free header is wide by Thiago Silva. And that was the opportunity to make Arsenal really nervous.
Yeah, really good ball in. Aimed towards the back post. Just gets up above Holding. It might be Bellerin as well. He does really well, but just flashed past the post. But I think for the last couple of minutes, should have put Zuma up there. I don't know why he went back. There's no point. Just keep Reece James back. He can handle it on his own.
Arsenal are about to make another change to maybe try and wind down the clock as well, with 2 minutes of normal time to play here on Game Day on TalkSport. Manchester City against Newcastle coming up at 8 o'clock. Sheffield United against Everton at the same time will be over on TalkSport 2. Shkodran Mustafi will be coming on shortly as the wind just picks up again. Storm Bella is on the way for the United Kingdom. And a lot of the huge Arsenal flags have been ruffled in the upper tier of the seats on the far side. Now Zuma. And there was so much room for Jorginho to bring the ball forward. It's wide towards James on the right. Pulisic in support. Back towards Jorginho. A low cross into the penalty area is brought down well. And there's a foul in there. It's a penalty to Chelsea. Mason Mount, the player who has been brought down inside the penalty area. And as we enter the 90th minute, Pablo Mari's challenge leads to a penalty, and Chelsea here can make it 3-2.
Yeah, it's an under-hit cross, and it just falls at the feet of Mount. His first touch gets away from him, but he just pokes it away from Pablo Mari as he makes contact with him, and yeah, that is a definite penalty.
And it's Jorginho who will take the penalty, looking to become the first Chelsea player to score in 3 successive league games against Arsenal since Didier Drogba. And Jorginho will take a long run up here, but Leno waits on the line, and Jorginho comes up right-footed, saved by Leno, and the penalty was far too close to him, and the German gets congratulations from his teammates, and Chelsea's chance to make Arsenal nervous may have drifted away.
Well, unlike Mendy's penalty saving technique, he stays up. He stays in the same place, Leno. He just tries to read the body language, guesses really well. He's got his back foot on the line. One foot is off it, though. But really good stop, gets down well.
Well, play is very quickly underway once again, and, well, Chelsea had their chance. And we have 30 seconds of added time already played. Mustafi is still waiting to come on, with Arsenal leading here by 3-1. Now Hudson-Odoi steps in field. It's a cross into the penalty area, which will be beyond Pulisic and behind for a goal kick. And it's Lacazette who is coming on to replace Mustafi.
Well, I wonder, look, they'll probably go to the back three here, but Pablo Mari, that was sort of a tired challenge, you know.
On a yellow card as well.
And on a yellow card. And you just wonder, I thought here we might take actually Mari off. Not that there's probably much point now with a minute to go or whatever, but he has a little bit fatigued, as you'd expect. And that was a tired challenge. Yeah, they've gone to a 3, looks like.
But Arsenal just need to see out a couple of minutes of added time here, leading by 3-1, and it will end a 7-match winless sequence. And George Graham, in his early days at Arsenal, went 10 matches without a win, and they stuck with him, and they got the fruits of that.
Well, look, you don't change your manager's title, do you, in September just to shovel him out the door, you know, a few months later. So he went from head coach to manager, more all-encompassing, and there's a reason for that. You know, obviously they believe in him.
Now Holding with a high, long ball forward again. And it's onto the head of Kurt Zouma, who clears. 2 Arsenal players are down, and they have a free kick midway inside the Chelsea half. Look, they could keep changing the manager here, but there seem to be other issues at the club which need to be addressed as well.
I just think he needs certain sort of players. He needs certain players to perform and, you know, put in a shift. It's not all about, you know, possession and, you know, Guardiola style, which I think he might be a bit, I don't know what, you know, trying to find the right word here in terms of
philosophy.
Well, you know, it's okay if you've got City players, but I don't necessarily think Arsenal have, and I think they have to play sometimes a different way. You know, you can't just be all about possession with the ball and dominating it, and you got to, you know, they've got to think about when they don't have the ball as well and get players that can do both jobs, both roles.
Well, as it stands, they have a 100% chance of winning this game because they lead by 3-1. But Chelsea come forward now. Jorginho wide towards Hudson-Odoi. Now Mount on the edge of the penalty area, wide towards Chilwell. Back towards Hudson-Odoi again. Chelsea heading for 3 successive away defeats for the first time in a couple of years. Pulisic on the edge of the penalty area, comes in field beyond Xhaka, then leaves him on his backside, but a low left-footed shot from him is a weak effort into the arms of Leno, although he's applauded by manager Frank Lampard.
Yeah, because he worked the opening really well. I mean, you know, he's kept on the pitch, he's put a shift in, he's probably got a bit of touch of cramp there, and I think Frank's obviously left him on to get some fitness now, and he's probably going to change it again on Monday.
Leno clears downfield. Pepe leaps with James. It's the Chelsea man who wins it, but now Willock has it for Chelsea, for Arsenal rather, on this near side. Challenged by Havertz, and the final touch was off Willock, and that will be a throw-in for Chelsea, but they almost give the ball away, but it's Jorginho who strides clear from the challenge of Xhaka. Sprays it wide towards the far side. Hudson-Odoi takes the ball down in stride and now breaks into the penalty area. Low shot from him, takes a couple of deflection and goes behind for a corner.
Well, that's more like it. That's what Hudson-Odoi is at his best, drifting in off that left. That looked destined for the bottom corner. Took a little ricochet.
Corner's played short towards Hudson-Odoi. High cross towards the far post is poured away by Leno. Did it go behind for a corner? It did, and there may just be time to take it.
Well, they've got 2 balls on the pitch for a start, so one of them's got to get off.
I don't think Michael Oliver's noticed.
Well, this can't be taken, can it? Until I think Frank's tempted to go on there and kick it off.
Pulisic with 2 balls on the pitch, plays it high into the penalty area. It's now controlled by Mason Mount. Mount again is challenged by Pepe. Pepe is fouled, and it will be a free kick, and the assistant comes on and finally kicks the ball off. And there goes the full-time whistle. And it is a huge victory for Arsenal, not just because it's Chelsea and a London derby. It's their first win for 8 games in the Premier League. A worrying sequence comes to an end for Mikel Arteta. He had to throw in the youngsters and they delivered. But for Frank Lampard and Chelsea, it is 3 successive away defeats. And they clearly have issues as well. A fantastic performance, though, from the young Gunners. And they have lit up Boxing Day at the Emirates Stadium. It is finished. Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1.
Thank you, Nigel. Well, we couldn't have written that before this game kicked off, could we? Another slump for Chelsea, though. Their away form, as Nigel said, not great, David Connolly. What went wrong for Frank Lampard?
Well, it was just a really flat performance. I think Arsenal, you've got to credit them. You know, the sort of personnel, the shape and everything, the work rate, the effort, the endeavour. I think that they had that little bit of spark about them, Arsenal, and energy, which maybe Chelsea didn't. You know, a few away games, obviously, and that London derby against West Ham, I don't know, seemed to affect them. But they were much better second half. He got a response, and I think 3-2 probably would have made the game a little bit tighter than it actually was. And I thought Arsenal were fully deserving of that victory.
Do you know what is really pleasing for Arsenal fans to see? Is their manager Mikel Arteta and the players walking off the field with big smiles on their face, which is something that we've not seen for a very long time. And perhaps this is the game that is going to turn the tide for Mikel Arteta.
Yes, and look, Faye, you know, obviously you think what gets you winning performances, and it's doing the ugly. It is really doing, when you're in a rut like they are and really struggling, it's players working, it's the El Nenis of this world, you know, sitting in front of Tammy, getting headers in first, it's tracking attacking runners. It's Xhaka putting his foot about and having to go at Holding to do better, and Tierney bombing up and down and putting last-ditch tackles in. Pablo Mari putting his head on everything. It's all the ugly stuff. And then you go, you know what? Let's hope we got a bit of quality, and your Martinellis of this world and your Lacazettes or whatever, or Xhaka with a free, to get us something. But you got to do all the ugly stuff. You know, it's not all about with the ball, and that's what I was alluding to with Nigel, with Mikel. You think, right, you have an idealistic philosophy, right? You want to play like Man City at some point, or Liverpool, but you're not quite there with the players you've got.
Exactly.
You can't, so you've got to do the ugly